The Night of the Seven Demons. I never believed in those stories, until that night. It was the eve of the Lemurian festival, when the Romans offered rituals to appease restless spirits. There was a strange atmosphere in the air, something heavy and sinister, but in my youth and arrogance, I chose to ignore the warnings. That night, during a banquet at the palace, I felt the bustle and music suffocating me, so I escaped, leaving the feast behind to wander the empty streets of Rome. As I walked, I noticed that the city seemed darker than usual. Torches barely illuminated the hallways, and a thick fog rose from the ground, enveloping everything around. Without knowing why, my steps led me to the outskirts of the Forum, towards an old abandoned temple that was said to be cursed, where forgotten gods and vengeful spirits still dwelt. It was a place that was avoided even in broad daylight. I stopped in front of the temple entrance, an ancient structure covered in moss and vines. Statues of ancient gods stared at me with empty stone eyes, and a chill ran down my spine. Yet something compelled me to enter, perhaps the need to prove to myself that I was not afraid, or curiosity to explore the unknown. As I crossed the threshold, a gust of cold wind hit me, and the smell of old incense and dampness filled my lungs. Inside, the shadows seemed denser, as if they had substance of their own. I walked slowly down the main hallway, lit only by the dim moonlight filtering through the cracks in the ceiling. Then, I felt it. A presence. I wasn't alone. "You have arrived, Messalina," whispered a voice that seemed to come from everywhere and nowhere at the same time. I froze. The sound of my name echoed in that place like a sentence. I looked around, but I didn't see anyone. I could feel it, though, like a pressure in the air, as if something ancient and malicious had awakened. Before he could react, a figure emerged from the shadows. It was a tall, thin form, wrapped in a black cloak that moved like smoke. His eyes glowed with a red glow, and a cruel smile spread across his face. "The Night of the Seven Demons has begun," he said, "and you have come to greet us." My heart was pounding. I tried to back away, but when I turned, other figures had appeared in the gloom. There were 7 of them in all, each different, but all shrouded in a darkness that seemed alive. One had claws instead of hands, another had skin as pale as marble, and its eyes were dark pools that reflected nothingness. One more seemed to be engulfed in flames, but the fire gave off no heat, only a searing cold. What are you?" I managed to ask, my voice shaking. "We are the guardians of the forgotten, the demons of regret and desire," answered the first, the one with the red eyes. "Every year, on this night, we seek souls who challenge the threshold. And you, Messalina, have called us." I was speechless. I didn't understand what I had done to deserve this. I had only come here to seek solitude, not to summon demons. But then, I understood. The Night of the Seven Demons wasn't just a legend, it was a ritual, and by crossing the threshold of the temple, I had unleashed something ancient, something that had been waiting for a chance to return for centuries. "No," I muttered. "I didn't call them. I didn't want to." "But you are here now," one of the demons interrupted, his voice sounding like the crackling of dry branches. "And now you must pay the price." I tried to run, but my legs wouldn't obey me. The shadows closed in around me, and I felt the air grow heavier, as if I were submerged in water. Then the demons began to draw closer. Each one of them brought with them a fragment of darkness, a deep, primal fear that seemed to pierce me to the bone. The first, the one with the red eyes, leaned over me and whispered in my ear, "Your beauty is your curse. We have heard your hidden desires, your ambitions. We know what you are willing to do to maintain your power. Now, you must pay for what you crave." One by one, the demons spoke. Each one revealed a secret, a thought I had never shared with anyone. Guilt and fear began to twist inside me, like snakes in my chest. They were showing me something dark and terrible in my own soul, a side I had chosen to ignore. When the last demon finished speaking, the room fell silent. I found myself kneeling on the floor, exhausted and shaking. The shadows seemed to be moving away, but I could still feel their presence in the air. "We let you go, this time," said the red-eyed one. "But remember, Messalina, we do not forget. The night of the 7 demons always returns, and you will find us again when you least expect it." With those words, the figures disappeared into the darkness, and the air became light again. I struggled to my feet and ran toward the temple exit, my heart beating in my chest like a drum. I did not stop until I was far from that cursed place. That night I learned that Rome was full of secrets and that some legends were more real than I had ever imagined. Since then, every eve of the Lemurian festival, I lock my doors and windows, and I do not go out after dark. Because I know that the 7 demons are out there, waiting, reminding me that darkness always has a price.
Atlantis and the Medallion of Time. The story of Atlantis has fascinated generations, but few know the true link between this lost civilization and the power of time. Among the legends that have been told about its fall, one of the most surprising involves an ancient artifact, the Medallion of Time. Atlantis, an advanced and prosperous civilization, is said to have possessed knowledge far beyond its time. Its cities glowed with an unknown energy. Its inhabitants mastered science, architecture, and nature in ways unimaginable. However, its greatest secret was not its technology, but its control over the flow of time. At the heart of the royal palace, the wisest priests guarded the Medallion of Time, a relic forged by the first inhabitants of Atlantis, who, according to legend, had been instructed by divine beings. This medallion was made of ancient gold, with a large blue sapphire at its center surrounded by intricate symbols that, when activated, began to slowly spin, creating a portal to other moments in history. But the power of this artifact was both a blessing and a curse. The Atlanteans used the medallion to prosper, predicting disasters, averting wars, and exploring ancient and future eras. Its power was not infinite, however. As the Royal Council began to abuse it, imbalances in time grew uncontrollable. Priests warned that further manipulation of the time stream could doom Atlantis, but their warnings fell on deaf ears. One day, as the city was basking in its greatest splendor, the medallion began to shine with an unusual intensity. Time itself seemed to fracture. The tides rose, the skies darkened, and Atlantis, the jewel of the ancient world, was swallowed by the ocean in a cataclysm that no one could stop. The Medallion of Time is believed to be the only thing that survived the destruction. Legend has it that centuries later, explorers have had visions of the lost Atlantis and the medallion hidden deep beneath the ocean, waiting to be found. Whoever manages to unearth it will have the power to travel not only to Atlantis but to any time in history. But as the ancient texts warn, whoever possesses it must remember the lesson of Atlantis. Time is a force not to be taken lightly. The Medallion of Time remains a mystery, but for those brave enough to seek it, it offers the promise of unlocking the deepest secrets of the past and shaping the future.
The Roman origins of the celebration of Halloween are connected to 2 festivals that took place in ancient Rome, Feralia and the Feast of Pomona, both of which influenced the traditions that later merged with the Celtic Samhain to create what we know today as Halloween. Feralia, celebrated on February 21st, it was part of the funeral festivities of Parandalia, a Roman festival honoring the dead. During Feralia, Romans would offer food, wine, and wreaths at the graves of their ancestors, believing that the spirits needed to be appeased. This cult of the dead and practices to honor the deceased resonated in the idea of Halloween, where the boundaries between the living and the dead become more blurred. Pomona Festival. This festival, held in honor of Pomona, the Roman goddess of fruit trees and harvests, took place in late October. The Romans offered fruit, especially apples, in her honor. Some of the activities associated with Halloween, such as the game of apple bobbing, getting apples out of water with your mouth, are thought to have come from this Roman celebration. As the Roman Empire began to expand and absorb Celtic cultures, Roman festivals merged with Samhain, a Celtic celebration marking the end of summer and the beginning of winter, a time when the spirits of the dead could return to earth. Over time, this mix of Roman and Celtic traditions evolved, and as Christianity spread, the Feast of All Saints was established on November 1st, followed by All Souls on November 2nd. Thus, the eve of October 31st, known today as Halloween, became a mix of pagan, Roman, and Christian customs, while maintaining its focus on the dead and the supernatural. Bottom line, although Halloween has its roots in Celtic festivals such as Samhain, the Roman celebrations of Feralia and the Feast of Pomona contributed significantly to the traditions of this modern holiday, particularly in relation to the veneration of the dead and harvest rituals. The origins of Halloween are the result of a fusion of Celtic, Roman, and Christian traditions that evolved over the centuries. Although the Celtic holiday of Samhain is widely acknowledged as the primary influence on Halloween, Roman celebrations, particularly the Feralia and the Feast of Pomona, also played a significant role in its formation. 1. Feralia, the cult of the dead in Rome. Feralia was a Roman holiday celebrated on February 21st as part of Parentalia, a festival dedicated to honoring dead ancestors. During the 9-day Parentalia, Roman families would perform rituals at the tombs of their ancestors. They would offer wine, food, and wreaths of flowers to the dead to ensure that their spirits were at peace. The last day of this holiday was known as Feralia, where the most important offerings were made, and the aim was to appease the disturbed spirits who, if they did not receive these offerings, could cause misfortune. This aspect of Feralia has similarities with the idea that, during Halloween, the spirits of the dead return to the world of the living, and humans need to appease them either with offerings, rituals, or costumes that fool the spirits. The relationship with the dead and the cult of the deceased, so important in the Roman festival, was later integrated into the Christian festivals of All Saints and All Souls, and remains to this day in the modern notion of Halloween. 2. The Pomona Festival, the harvest and the fruits of autumn. Another Roman holiday that influenced Halloween was the Feast of Pomona, which was dedicated to Pomona, the goddess of fruit trees, especially apple trees, and harvests. Pomona was not a goddess directly associated with death, but her holiday, held in late October, was linked to agricultural cycles, the end of the harvest season, and preparation for winter. This connection to autumn fruits, particularly apples, was reflected in Halloween customs, such as the popular game of apple bobbing, which involves trying to get floating apples out of a bowl of water using only your mouth. The apple, associated with Pomona, symbolized fertility and abundance. Some legends say that if you cut an apple in half, you can see a 5-pointed star inside, a symbol of magic and protection. These beliefs in the magic of nature and fruits also carried over into the tradition of Halloween, where elements of harvest and magic are intertwined. 3. The fusion of Roman and Celtic traditions. When the Romans began to conquer Celtic territories from the 1st century BC onwards, their customs and festivals began to merge with local traditions. Among these was Samhain, the Celtic celebration of the end of summer marking the beginning of winter and, according to Celtic beliefs, the time when the veil between the world of the living and the dead was thinnest. Spirits could return to the world of the living, and the souls of the dead were believed to roam the earth. The Romans, with their already established tradition of cult of the dead through Feralia, integrated aspects of Samhain into their own practices. This created a fusion of beliefs about spirits and veneration of the dead. In turn, the harvest festival in honor of Pomona brought its own symbolic elements to this cultural mix. Over time, these pagan Roman and Celtic customs were incorporated into Christianity when the Roman Empire adopted the new faith. 4. The Christianization of Halloween, from Samhain to All Saints' Day. As Christianity spread across Europe, church authorities sought to replace pagan festivals with Christian celebrations. In the 8th century, Pope Gregory III moved All Saints' Day to November 1st, probably to Christianize the Celtic holiday of Samhain. Later, All Souls' Day was added on November 2nd, continuing the tradition of remembering and honoring the dead. The eve of October 31st, known as All Hallows' Eve or Halloween, retained many of the pagan customs that had already become intertwined with Roman and Celtic traditions. 5. Modern influences, the Roman legacy in Halloween. Today, the Halloween festivities we know today, though they have evolved and changed, still retain the original elements of Roman traditions. The idea of the dead returning, the need to honor or deceive them, and the agricultural practices of the harvest are echoes of those ancient festivities. In particular, the notion of spirits wandering among the living comes from the mixture of Roman beliefs in Feralia and Celtic beliefs in Samhain. In addition, apple-related activities, such as games and decorations, are clearly reminiscent of the Pomona festival. Conclusion. Although Halloween is primarily known for its Celtic roots, it is undeniable that ancient Roman festivals, such as the Feralia and the Feast of Pomona, also influenced its development. These celebrations brought key elements, such as the cult of the dead and nature magic, which merged with Celtic and later Christian beliefs, forming the hybrid holiday we know today. The persistence of these traditions over time shows how ancient cultures left their mark on our contemporary practices, creating a holiday that continues to celebrate the mystical, the dark, and the supernatural.
In ancient Rome, demons, in Latin daemon or daemons, were part of a complex belief system that spanned both official religion and popular folklore. The notion of demon in Rome did not necessarily have the connotations of absolute evil that it later acquired in Christianity. Demons could be either beneficial or malevolent spirits, depending on their actions and the intention with which they interacted with humans. However, there were specific entities that were considered dangerous or malevolent, and that could cause harm to people. Here we explore the types of demons and spiritual beings that were part of Roman thought. 1. Demons. In ancient Rome, the term daemon originally referred to a spirit intermediate between the gods and humans. These spirits were not necessarily malevolent. They could be protective guardians or entities that conveyed the will of the gods. The idea of daemons was largely derived from Greek philosophy, where daemon was understood as a tutelary spirit or personal guide. In Plato's work, which influenced Roman thought, daemons can be forces that influence people's fate. In Rome, this notion was assimilated into popular beliefs, and some daemons were considered good, while others could be malevolent, especially if they were associated with curses, dark magic, or restless spirits. 2. Larvae and lemurs. Larvae and lemures were restless or malevolent spirits of the dead. They were believed to be the souls of people who had not received a proper burial or had died violently, and therefore had not found peace in the afterlife. These entities were considered dangerous to the living, as they could cause illness, madness, or even death. To calm the lemurs and prevent their evil influence, the Romans celebrated an annual festival called Lemuria, during which specific rituals were performed to appease these wandering spirits. During the Lemuria, the head of the household would throw black beans over his shoulders while reciting prayers to drive away the spirits, and offerings were made to ensure that the dead would not disturb the living. 3. Manes. The manes were the spirits of the deceased who, unlike the larvae and lemurs, were generally considered benevolent or neutral if properly honored. However, if the correct funerary rituals were not performed or offerings were neglected, the manes could become restless and manifest themselves in disruptive ways. These spirits required regular sacrifices and ceremonies to remain at peace and not cause misfortune to the living. 4. Strigae, Strix. As mentioned in the previous answer, strigae were owl-like creatures believed to be spirits or witches that could transform into nocturnal birds to suck the blood of children or attack people during the night. These entities were seen as demonic due to their association with black magic and witchcraft, and Romans performed rituals to ward them off. 5. Genii. Genii were personal or place guardian spirits. Each person had a genius, who acted as their protector and spiritual guide throughout their life. There were also genii for homes, cities, and even armies. Although genii were generally considered benevolent, they could become dangerous or evil if they were disrespected or offended. For example, if the home was desecrated or rituals honoring the genius loci, spirit of the place, were neglected, this spirit could bring misfortune. 6. Nocturnal. Nocturnae were spirits or demons associated with night and darkness. They were considered responsible for causing nightmares and sleep disorders. Some accounts suggest that these entities could visit people during the night to frighten them, or even suffocate them while they slept. They were comparable to incubi and succubi in later medieval demonology, although their conception in Roman antiquity was less elaborate. 7. Furies. The Furies, also known as Erinyes in Greek mythology, were vengeful spirits of divine justice, who pursued those who had committed serious crimes, such as the murder of family members. Although they were not demons in the strict sense, they served a function similar to that of vengeful spirits, pursuing and punishing the guilty until they atoned for their crimes. The Romans believed that these deities had the power to drive their victims mad with their anger. 8. Vanth and Charon, Etruscan death deities. Although originally from Etruscan mythology, some deities of death and the underworld were assimilated into Roman culture. Vanth was a female figure associated with death, and Charon was an infernal demon who guided souls to the underworld. Although they were not considered evil demons in the same sense as darker daemons, their relationship with death and the afterlife connected them to the world of spirits and dark forces. 9. Evil and demonic magic. In ancient Rome, belief in magic and spells was common, and some of these rituals called upon spirits or demons to cause harm to enemies. The term maleficium referred to harmful magic, which could involve curses or the summoning of malevolent spirits to affect a person's health, fortune, or life. The practice of maleficium was considered a serious crime, and practitioners of demonic magic could be punished by death. 10. Exorcisms and protection against demons. Although the Roman religion did not have formal exorcisms as in later Christianity, there were rituals to ward off evil spirits. These rituals included sacrifices, offerings, the use of amulets, and the utterance of magic formulas. Protective amulets, known as fasten, were used to ward off the evil eye and demonic influences. In short, demons in ancient Rome were a mix of benevolent and malevolent spirits, vengeful deities, and entities related to death and the afterlife. Beliefs in these beings reflected the Romans' fears and understanding of life, death, and the supernatural world. Although their concept of a demon was not exactly the same as that of later Christianity, Roman ideas about dangerous spirits and entities laid the groundwork for the demonological beliefs that would later develop in Europe.
The secret of the cult of Mithras and time travel. The cult of Mithras was a mystery religion that flourished in the Roman Empire between the 1st and 4th centuries AD. Its historical significance lies in its influence on Roman spirituality. The cult of Mithras originated in Persia, where Mithras was a sun god and protector of justice. Over the centuries, this deity was adopted by the Romans. In Rome, the cult of Mithras was quickly adapted and spread among soldiers and merchants. Its emphasis on loyalty and honor resonated with Roman values, making it easy to accept. Mithraic rites were secret and accessible only to initiates. They included purification ceremonies, sacrifices and banquets, all designed to strengthen the brotherhood and spirituality of the followers. The Mithraeum was the place of worship of the Mithraists, commonly located in caves or basements. Its dark and closed design symbolized the cosmos and offered an environment conducive to secret rites. Mithras iconography is rich in symbolism. His depiction killing a bull stands out, surrounded by various animals and astrological inscriptions, which reinforces his connection with the cosmos. The stories and legends of Mithras are varied and deep. From his birth from a rock to his role as a mediator between gods and humans, his mythology is fascinating. The sacrifice of the bull, known as the tauroctony, is central to the cult of Mithras. It represents renewal and fertility, symbolizing the victory of good over evil. The cult of Mithras shares several similarities with Christianity. Both have initiation rituals, a sacred meal, and promises of salvation, which has led to various historical comparisons. Various factors led to the decline of the cult of Mithras. The expansion of Christianity and political and social changes in the Roman Empire contributed to its loss of relevance over time. Time travel has captured the imagination of generations, from novels to movies. The idea of moving through time sparks both curiosity and fascination in popular culture. Stories about temporal manipulation have been around since ancient times, but it was with modern science that they gained credibility. Scientists and thinkers have explored various theories about how this could be possible. One of the most intriguing concepts is the grandfather paradox, which poses a logical dilemma. If you travel back in time and prevent your grandfather from being born, how could you have been born? Scientific theories of time travel range from wormholes to general relativity. Although many ideas remain in the theoretical realm, they continue to inspire research and debate. The presence of Mithras in science fiction is yet another example of how ancient myths intertwine with the futuristic idea of time travel, fueling our imagination. The image of Mithras has been recurrent in science fiction, where he is associated with ancient secrets and mystical powers, often linked to time travel and parallel dimensions. Evidence of time travel includes accounts of travelers and anachronistic objects found in excavations, although many of these cases have not been confirmed and remain in the realm of speculation. The cultural impact of time travel is vast, inspiring films, books and series that explore the possibilities and paradoxes of altering the past or future. The future of time travel remains a fascinating enigma, with scientific advances that could make possible what we now consider only a science fiction fantasy. We invite our audience to share their theories about time travel and subscribe for more fascinating content about Mithras and other historical mysteries.
Temple of Fire. Fire burning in the Yazd-Atash Baram Temple in Yazd, Iran. Fire temple in Zoroastrianism is the place of worship for its practitioners, often called Dar-Mer, Persian language, or Adyari, Gujarati language. In Zoroastrian religion, fire, or atar, along with clean water or apas, are terms of ritual purity. The clean, white ash for purification ceremonies is considered the basis of ritual life, which are essentially the rites of a domestic fire, because the temple fire is the fire of fire raised to a new solemnity. For one who sacrifices to fire with fuel in his hand is given happiness. As of 2017, there were 50 fire temples in Mumbai, 100 in the rest of India, and 27 in the rest of the world. There is a religious custom in India of not allowing Zoroastrian women to enter the fire temple and the Tower of Silence if they marry a non-Zoroastrian. This custom has been challenged in the Supreme Court of India after a Zoroastrian woman was denied entry to these institutions. The Parsi Zoroastrian Jashan ceremony, blessing of a home. The earliest evidence is from the 9th century, where fire rituals are contemporary with the birth of Zoroastrianism itself. It appears at about the same time as the shrine cult and is roughly contemporary with the introduction of Atar as a divinity. There is no allusion to a fire temple in the Avesta proper, nor is there any word in the Old Persian language for one. That fire rituals were a doctrinal modification and absent from early Zoroastrianism is also evident in the later Atash Nash. In the oldest passages of that liturgy, it is the fire of the hearth that speaks to all those for whom they cook the evening meal and the morning meal, which Boyce observes is not consistent with the sanctified fire. The temple is an even later development. From Herodotus, we know that by the mid-5th century BC, Zoroastrians were worshipping in the open sky, ascending mounds to light their fires. Strabo confirms this, noting that in the 6th century BC, the sanctuary of Zila in Cappadocia was an artificial mound, walled but open to the sky, although there is no evidence that the sanctuary at Zela was Zoroastrian. Fire burning was a key element in Zoroastrian cult, and the burning of eternal fire, like the presence of light in worship, was also a key element in many other religions. By the time of the Hellenistic Parthians, 250 BC, 226 AD. There were two places of worship in Zoroastrianism. One, called a Bagin or Ayazan, was a shrine dedicated to a specific divinity. It was built in honor of an individual or family's patron or angel, and included an icon or effigy of the honored. The second, the Atroshan, were the places of burning fire which became increasingly prevalent as the iconoclastic movement gained support. Following the rise of the Sasanian dynasty, shrines to the Yazatas continued to exist, but with the statues, by law, abandoned or replaced by fire altars. Furthermore, as Shipman observed, there is no evidence, even during the Sasanian era, 226 to 650, that fires were ranked according to their sanctity. It seems likely that there were practically only two, namely the Atashai Varam, literally, victorious fire, and the smaller Atashai Adaran, a parish fire, so to speak, serving a quarter of a town or city. Apparently only in the Atashai Varam was the fire kept continuously burning, with the Adaran the fires being relit annually. While the fires themselves had special names, the structures did not, and it has been suggested that the prosaic nature of the Middle Persian names, Kadag, man, and Xanag are all words for an ordinary house, perhaps reflects a desire on the part of those who fostered the temple cult to keep it as close as possible in character to the ancient hearth fire cult and to discourage its development. The Battle of Al-Qadisiyah, 636, and the Battle of Niven, 642, were instrumental in the collapse of the Sasanian Empire and state-sponsored Zoroastrianism. The destruction or conversion into mosques of some fire temples in Greater Iran followed. The faith was largely practiced by the aristocracy, but no large fire temples existed. Some fire temples continued for their original purpose, although many Zoroastrians fled. In recent times, several fire temples have been rebuilt in Iran, as Zoroastrianism is now tolerated. In 1978, a modern fire temple was built in Isfahan. An 8th century Tang dynasty clay figure of a Sogdian man with a distinctive hood and face veil, possibly a camel rider or even a Zoroastrian priest performing a ritual at a fire temple. Veils were worn to avoid contaminating the sacred fire with breath or saliva. Museum of Oriental Art, Turin. The oldest remains of what has been identified as a fire temple are those on Mount Tajan near Lake Haman in Sistan. Only traces of the foundations and ground plan survive and have been provisionally dated to the 3rd or 4th century BC. The temple was rebuilt during the Parthian period, 250 BC 226 AD, and expanded during Sasanian times, 226 to 650 AD. The characteristic feature of the Sasanian fire temple was its domed sanctuary where the fire altar stood. These types of sanctuary always had a square plan with a pillar at each corner supporting the dome. Archaeological remains and literary evidence from Zen's commentaries on the Avesta suggest that the sanctuary was surrounded by a domed shrine, passageway on all 4 sides. At a number of sites the dome, usually made of rubble masonry with stone quartz, is all that survives, so such ruins are popularly called fars, kahartak, or 4 arches. Temple ruins from the Sasanian period have been found in various parts of the former empire, mainly in the southwest, Fars, Kerman, and Elam. But the largest and most impressive are those at Adur-Gushnasp in Media Minor. Many more ruins are popularly identified as the remains of Zoroastrian fire temples, even when their purpose is evidently secular in nature, or they are the remains of a temple of the sanctuary cults, or, as is the case with a strong fire temple, and monastery at Sirkani, Azerbaijan, unambiguously belonging to another religion. The remains of a fire altar, most likely built during Yazdegerd's reign 438 to 457, proselytizing campaign against the Christian Armenians, have been found directly beneath the temple. Main altar of the Ekmiadzin Cathedral, the seat of the Armenian Apostolic Church. Great legendary fire's eternal flame at the Baku Fire Temple, also known as Hga of Baku. Apart from relatively minor fire temples, 3 are said to be derived directly from Ahura Mazda and are thus the most important in Zoroastrian tradition. These were the great fires or royal fires of Adar Burzanmir, Adar Farnbag, and Adar Gushnas. The legends of the great fires are probably of antiquity, for by the 3rd century, miracles were said to occur at the site, and the fires were popularly associated with other legends, such as those of the folktale and its heroes Faradin, Jamshid, and Rostam. The Bundahishan, a collection of Zoroastrian cosmogony and cosmology texts written in the Pahlavi script that was completed in the 11th or 12th century, states that the great fires existed from creation to propagate faith, dispel doubts, and protect all of humanity. Other texts note that the great fires were also vehicles of propaganda and symbols of imperial sovereignty. The priests of these respective royal fires are said to have competed with each other to attract pilgrims by promoting the legends and miracles that supposedly occurred at their respective sites. Each of the 3 is said to have reflected social and feudal divisions. The fire that is Farnbag has made its place among the priests. The fire that is Gushnas has made its place among the warriors. The fire that is Burzan Mitro has made its place among the farmers. Denkard 6.293. These divisions, from an archaeological and sociological point of view, are revealing because they make clear that, from at least the 1st century BCE onwards, society was divided into 4, not 3, feudal estates. The Farnbag fire, translated as the fire given by glory by Dharmastiter, was considered the most revered of the 3 because it was seen as the earthly representative of the Atar Spanishta, the most holy fire of Yasna 17.11, and is described in a Zen commentary on that verse as burning in paradise in the presence of Ormuz. Panorama of the ruins in Tati Sulayman, Western Iran. Although in the eyes of contemporary Iranian Zoroastrian priests, the 3 fires did not really exist, fire temples rather belonging to the mythological realm, several attempts have been made to identify the locations of the great fires. In the early 20th century, A.V. Jackson identified the remains at Tak-e-Sulayman, halfway between Urmia and Hamadan, as the Temple of Adar Gushnas. The location of the fire of Mithras, that of Burzanmir, was identified with reasonable certainty by Jackson to be near the village of Mir, halfway between Mayandasht and Sabzivar, on the road from Khorasan to Nishapur. The Lesser Bundahishan, Hindu, records the Farnbag fire having been on the mountain, possessing glory in Khwarizm, but then moved over the shining mountain in the district of Kabul, as there it still remains. That the temple once stood in Khwarizm is also supported by the Greater Bundahishan and by the Zatsparam texts. However, according to the Greater Bundahishan, Iranian, it moved over the shining mountain of Kavarbind in the district of Kar. The rest of the passage is identical to the Indian edition. Dharmastiter identified this. If this identification is correct, the Farnbag Fire Temple lies 10 miles southwest of Juwan, midway between Joram and Lar. Udvada Atash Biram in 2009, located in Gujarat. According to Parsi legend, when a group of refugees from Greater Khorasan landed in western Gujarat over 1,000 years ago, they had the ashes of this fire with them. It is said that this ash served as the bed for the fire in Udvada today. This fire temple was not always in Udvada. According to Kissa I Sanjan, History of Sanjan, the only extant account of the early years of the Zoroastrian refugees in India, and composed at least 6 centuries after their arrival, the migrants established an Atash Warharan victorious fire in Sanjan, a town near Gujarat. Under threat of war, probably in 1465, the fire was moved to the Bharat Caves 20 kilometers south of Sanjan, where it remained for 12 years. From there, it was moved to Bansda, where it remained for another 14 years before being moved once more to Navsari, where it remained until the 18th century. It was then moved to Udvada, silver coin of Yazdigar II, with a fire altar and 2 priests or attendants. Although there are numerous eternally burning Zoroastrian fires, with the exception of the Warharan fire, none of them is older than 250 years. The legend that Indian Zoroastrians invented the Afrinigan, the metal urn in which the sacred fire is kept today, when they moved the fire from Sanjan to the Bharat Caves, is untenable. Greek historians of the Parthian period reported the use of a metal urn as a vase to carry the fire. Sasanian coins of the 3rd-4th centuries also reveal a fire in a vase-like vessel, identical in design to today's Afrinigans. However, Indian Zoroastrians export these and other utensils to their coreligionists around the world. One of the most common technical terms in use for a Zoroastrian fire temple is Dar-bi-mer, romanized as Dar-bi-mer. The etymology of this term, meaning Gate of Mithras or Court of Mithras, is problematic. It has been proposed that the term is a throwback to the age of sanctuary cults, the name being retained because all major Zoroastrian rituals were solemnized between dawn and noon, the time of day especially under the protection of Mithras. Etymological theories see a derivation from Mithrayana, so Milet, or Mithradana, Gershevich, or Mithraean, Wilkin. Furthermore, it is unclear whether the term refers to a consecrated inner sanctuary or to the ritual enclosure. Among present-day Iranian Zoroastrians, the term Dar-bi-mer includes the entire ritual precinct. It is significantly more common than the older Atashkada, a classical Persian language term, which along with its Middle Persian predecessors, Atashkaded, man, and Xanad, literally means house of fire. The older terms have the advantage that they are easily understood even by non-Zoroastrian Iranians. In the early 20th century, the Zoroastrian calendar-based Bombay Facilis revived the term as the name of its first fire temple, and later in that century, the Zoroastrians of Tehran adopted it for the name of their main fire temple. The term Dar-bi-mer is also common in India, though with a slightly different meaning. Until the 17th century, the fire, now at Udvada, was the only one that burned continuously in the Indian subcontinent. Each of the other settlements had a small building in which rituals were performed, and the fire from which the priests rekindled whenever necessary from embers carried from their own fires. The Parsis called this unconsecrated building Dar-bi-mer or agiary. The latter is the Gujarati word for firehouse, and thus a literal translation of Ashkada. In recent years, the term Dar-bi-mer has come to refer to a secondary sacred fire for daily ritual use that is present in the most prestigious fire temples. Abroad, particularly in North America, Zoroastrians use the term Dar-bi-mer both for temples that have a fire that burns eternally and for sites where the fire is lit only on special occasions. This is largely due to the financial support of such places by one Arbab, Rustam Gul, who preferred the Iranian dialectical form. Functionally, fire temples are built to honor the fire within them, and fire temples are classified and named according to the grade of fire found within them. There are 3 grades of fires: the Atash Daga, Atash Adharan, and Atash Baram. The Atash Daga is the lowest grade of sacred fire and may be consecrated over the course of a few hours by 2 priests who alternately recite the 72 verses of the Yasna liturgy. The consecration may occasionally include the recitation of Vendidag, but this is optional. A layman may tend the fire when no services are in progress. The term is not necessarily a consecrated fire and also applies to the hearth fire or the oil lamp found in many Zoroastrian homes. The next highest degree of fire is the Atash Adharan, the fire of fires. It requires a gathering of representatives of the 4 professional groups with feudal estates, of a hearth fire of the Esrone, priests, the Ba, Avashtara, soldiers, and officials, the Vasterioship, farmers and shepherds, and the Hutakshi, artisans and workers. 8 priests are required to consecrate an Adharan fire, and the procedure takes 2 to 3 weeks. The Yazd Atash Baram and Atash Baram. Fire of Victory is the highest grade of fire that can be placed in a Zoroastrian fire temple. The establishment and consecration of this fire is the most elaborate of all the grades of fire. It involves the gathering of 16 different types of fire, including the fire from a cremation pyre, the fire from offices where an oven is located, and the fires from hearths, as is also the case with the Atash Adharan. Each of the 16 fires is subject to a purification ritual before being joined with the others. 32 priests are required for the consecration ceremony, which can take up to a year to complete. Types of fire: fire used in burning a corpse, fire used by a dire fire from a house of a king or a ruling authority, potter's fire, brickmaker's fire, fire of an ascetic fire, of a goldsmith fire of a mint, blacksmith's fire, gunsmith's fire, baker's fire, a brewer's fire, a soldier's fire, a shepherd's fire, fire produced by atmospheric lightning fire of the house of any Zoroastrian. A temple that maintains an Adharan or Baram fire also maintains at least 1 deck of fire. In contrast to the Adharan and Baram fires, the Daga fire is the one at which the priests perform the rituals of the faith, and to which the public turns to invoke blessings for a specific individual, family, or event. The veneration of the major fires is directed solely to the fire itself, that is, after the consecration of such a fire, the Atash Nyashas, the Litany of Fire, in modern Avestan, is recited before it. List of 9 Atash Barams. Aransha Atash Biram in Udvada, India. Established in 1742. Desai Atash Baram in Navsari, India. Established in 1765. Dadaseth Atash Biram in Mumbai, India. Established in 1783. Vakil Atash Biram in Surat, India. Established in 1823. Modi Atash Baram in Surat, India. Established in 1823. Wadia Atash Baram in Mumbai, India. Established 1830. Banaji Atash Baram in Mumbai, India. Established in 1845. Anjuman Atash Baram in Mumbai, India. Established in 1897. Yazd Atash Baram in Yazd, Iran. Established in 1934. Temple structure. The entrance of a Mumbai fire temple, showing a Lamasu. A view of the Atashgag, Iran, fire temple structure on the hilltop. The exterior facade of a Zoroastrian fire temple is almost always intentionally nondescript and unadorned. This may reflect an ancient tradition, sustained by the prosaic nature of the technical terms for a fire temple, where the primary purpose of a fire temple is to house a sacred fire and not to glorify what would otherwise be simply a building. The basic structure of today's fire temples is always the same. There are no indigenous sources older than those in the 19th century that describe an Iranian fire temple. The 9th century theologian Manashur noted that they had a standard floor plan, but where exactly that was is unknown, and it is possible that temples there today have features that are of Indian origin. Upon entering, one passes through a large space or hall where congregations, also non-religious, or special ceremonies may take place. Adjacent to this, or sometimes on a floor level above or below, the worshipper enters a smaller anteroom. Connected to this anteroom, or within it, but not visible from the hall, is the innermost sanctuary, in Zoroastrian terminology, atasha, literally place of fire, in which the actual fire altar is located. A temple in which a yasna service, the principal Zoroastrian act of worship accompanying the recitation of the yasna liturgy, may be held will always have, attached to it or on its grounds, at least one well or stream or other natural water source. This is a critical requirement for Abzor, the culminating rite of the yasna service. Only priests attached to a fire temple may enter the innermost sanctum, which is enclosed on at least one side and has a double vaulted roof. The double dome has vents to allow smoke to escape, but the vents in the outer dome are offset from those in the inner dome, thereby preventing dirt or rain from entering the sanctum sanctorum. The sanctum is separated from the antechamber by dividers or walls with very large openings and is slightly elevated from the surrounding space. The walls of the sanctum sanctorum are almost always tiled or marbled, but otherwise undecorated. There are no lights, apart from the fire itself, in the inner sanctum. In the Indo-Zoroastrian tradition, which is not evident in recent buildings, are designed in such a way that direct sunlight does not enter the sanctuary. In one corner hangs a bell, which is rung 5 times a day at the boy, literally, good fragrance ceremony, marking the beginning of each ga, or watching. The tools for maintaining the fire, which is always fueled with wood, are simply hung on the wall, or as sometimes happens, stored in a small room that can be accessed through the sacred place. In India and in Indo-Zoroastrian communities abroad, non-Zoroastrians are strictly forbidden to enter any space from which the fires can be seen. While this is not a doctrinal requirement, that is, it is not a mandate specified in the Avesta or the so-called Pahlavi texts, it has nonetheless developed as a tradition. It is, however, mentioned in a 16th century epistle of Rivayat. Furthermore, entry to any part of the facility is sometimes reserved solely for Zoroastrians. This precludes the use of the temple hall for public, even secular, functions. Zoroastrians insist, however, that these restrictions are not intended to offend non-Zoroastrians, and point to similar practices in other religions. A Dorian fire temple in Tehran. When the adherent enters the antechamber before a sanctum sanctorum, he or she will offer dried sandalwood or other sweet-smelling wood to the fire. This is in accordance with the doctrinal statutes expressed in Vendidat, which, in addition to listing which fuels are appropriate, also reiterates the commandments of Yasna 3.1 and Yashts 14.55, which describe which fuels are not, in particular wood. In the current Zoroastrian tradition, the offering is never made directly, but is placed under the care of the celebrating priest who, wearing a cloth mask over his nostrils and mouth to prevent contamination of breath, uses a pair of silver tongs and places the offering into the fire. The priest will use a special ladle to offer the sacred ash to the layman, who will then apply it to his forehead and eyelids, and may take some home to use later in a kushti ceremony. A Zoroastrian priest does not preach or hold sermons, but simply tends to the fire. Attendance at the fire temple is particularly high during seasonal celebrations, and especially for the New Year Nowruz.
The dark legacy of Claudius and Messalina. Claudius, a Roman emperor who rose to power in 41 AD, ruled with a mix of cunning and vulnerability. His tenure was marked by significant administrative and political reforms that left a lasting mark on the Roman Empire, transforming its internal structure and strengthening its position on the world stage. The Roman Empire in the 1st century AD was in a phase of expansion and consolidation. Politics, culture, and economy were constantly evolving. Claudius inherited a vast and diverse empire, plagued by internal and external challenges, requiring skillful administration and strategic decisions. Claudius came to power after the death of his nephew Caligula, at a time of chaos and confusion. His rise was unexpected, as many underestimated him due to his apparent physical weaknesses and lack of military experience. However, Claudius proved to be a shrewd and capable leader. Messalina, Claudius's third wife, had considerable influence at court. Her ambition and scandalous behavior generated controversy and tension. However, her presence at court also allowed Claudius to consolidate his power by handling palace intrigues more skillfully and establishing strategic alliances. During his reign, Claudius implemented important administrative reforms. He reorganized the bureaucratic system, improving the efficiency of government and strengthening control over the provinces. These reforms not only streamlined the administration of the empire, but also laid the groundwork for more effective management of resources and territorial expansion. During Claudius's reign, military policies focused on the consolidation and expansion of the Roman Empire. They prioritized the fortification of borders and the integration of conquered territories. These policies ensured the stability and growth of the empire, highlighting the emperor's military efficiency and leadership. Messalina, wife of Claudius, had a significant influence at the imperial court. Her ambition and power led her to manipulate high officials and make crucial decisions. Her presence at court generated both alliances and enmities, deeply marking the internal politics of the empire during Claudius's reign. Claudius implemented crucial administrative reforms to improve the efficiency of government. He centralized power and reorganized the bureaucracy, allowing for more effective management of resources and territories. These reforms laid the groundwork for a more structured and professional government in the Roman Empire. Claudius's social policies were characterized by their focus on inclusion and justice. He promoted equal rights among citizens and took steps to protect the most vulnerable. His government sought to improve living conditions and ensure social stability in a diverse and vast empire. Messalina played a fundamental role in the politics of the empire, using her influence to favor allies and eliminate adversaries. Her cunning and ambition made her a powerful and feared figure at court. Her intervention in political affairs left an indelible mark on Claudius's government. At Claudius's court, intrigues and conspiracies were common. Numerous courtiers and senators sought to gain influence and power, creating an atmosphere of mistrust. Political machinations often resulted in betrayals and executions, affecting both allies and enemies of the emperor. Claudius' relationship with the Senate was complex and fluctuating. Although he sought to maintain harmonious cooperation, his dependence on freedmen and his distrust of some senators generated tensions. This unstable balance marked his government and affected the political stability of the empire. Claudius implemented significant reforms to the Roman judicial system, seeking greater fairness and efficiency. He introduced changes to legal procedure and established new courts to deal with specific cases. These measures improved access to justice and strengthened imperial authority in legal matters. Claudius's economic policy focused on stabilizing the empire's finances and encouraging growth. He reduced taxes and promoted trade, as well as investing in infrastructure. These policies contributed to a more robust economy and a better quality of life for Roman citizens. The administration of the provinces under Claudius was characterized by more direct and efficient control. He appointed loyal and capable governors and closely supervised their activities. This improved management allowed for greater integration of the provinces into the empire and for more fair and effective administration. Claudius's personal life was marked by a series of marriages and complex relationships. He married 4 times, with his third wife, Messalina, being the most infamous. Despite his status as emperor, Claudius often found himself manipulated by those around him, especially his wives and freedmen. Messalina, known for her ambition and promiscuity, wielded great influence at court. She used her position to enrich herself and eliminate her political enemies. Her scandalous behavior and intrigues contributed to an atmosphere of distrust and conspiracy in the imperial palace during Claudius's reign. Intrigues and conspiracies at court were a constant during Claudius's reign. His administration was plagued by betrayals and plots, some of which were instigated by Messalina herself. These intrigues not only threatened his power, but also endangered the stability of the Roman Empire. Messalina's downfall was inevitable due to her excesses and betrayals. Claudius, finally aware of his wife's actions, sentenced her to death in AD 48. Her execution marked a turning point in Claudius's rule, freeing him from a pernicious influence but also leaving him vulnerable to further conspiracies. The impact of Messalina's fall on Claudius was significant. Although freed from her influence, the loss of his wife created a void in his personal and political life. From then on, Claudius became more cautious and distrustful, attempting to strengthen his position and avoid falling victim to further betrayals at the imperial court. The fall of Messalina had a profound impact on Claudius, both personally and politically. The betrayal of his favorite wife plunged him into deep sadness, but it also led him to make more cautious decisions in his government, distrusting those around him and reinforcing his authority. Religious reforms under Claudius reflected his interest in consolidating imperial power through religion. He re-established certain cults and honored ancient Roman deities, thus seeking to unify the people and strengthen public morality, which also gave him legitimacy and popular support. Claudius showed a great appreciation for Roman culture and promoted education and the arts. He encouraged the construction of libraries and supported writers and scholars, contributing to a cultural renaissance that further solidified Roman traditions and enriched the intellectual life of the empire. Claudius's citizenship policy was inclusive, allowing many provincials to obtain Roman citizenship. This measure not only fostered loyalty to Rome, but also integrated diverse cultures into the empire, strengthening social cohesion and broadening the emperor's base of support. Claudius consolidated his power through a series of carefully planned strategies. He reformed the administration, strengthened the borders, and established key political alliances. These actions not only secured his position as emperor, but also contributed to the stability and prosperity of the Roman Empire during his reign. Claudius showed great interest in building infrastructure, especially bridges and aqueducts. His commitment to these works allowed for a better distribution of resources and strengthened the connectivity of the empire. These infrastructures not only improved the quality of life, but also consolidated his authority. Claudius's reputation as emperor is complex and often contradictory. While some saw him as an effective leader, others considered him weak and easily influenced. However, his administrative reforms and infrastructure achievements show a ruler who was aware of the needs of his empire. The military campaigns in Britain were a milestone in Claudius's rule. These expeditions not only expanded the empire's borders, but also demonstrated his strategic ability. The conquest of Britain consolidated his power and marked one of the greatest military achievements of his reign. Claudius played a crucial role in the expansion of Roman law, adapting it to the new realities of the empire. He implemented reforms that modernized the legal system and ensured a fairer administration. These actions not only benefited Rome, but also left a lasting legacy in jurisprudence. Claudius's succession was a delicate and intriguing issue. After his death, Nero, his adopted son, ascended the throne. This event marked the beginning of a new era, but also highlighted the tensions and challenges in ensuring a peaceful and stable transition of imperial power. Claudius implemented a monetary policy that sought to stabilize the economy of the Roman Empire. Under his rule, new coins were issued, improving circulation and public confidence in the financial system. These measures helped consolidate the economy and finance large infrastructure projects and territorial expansion. Clemency was a notable feature of Claudius's rule. Unlike other emperors, he chose to pardon many of his political opponents. This policy not only allowed him to reduce the number of his enemies, but also to gain the respect and loyalty of his subjects, thus strengthening his power. Freedmen played a crucial role in Claudius's government. Coming from the freed slave class, many of them held high responsible positions. Their influence was reflected in efficient administration and the implementation of innovative reforms, although it also generated criticism and discontent among the aristocracy. During his reign, Claudius carefully managed censorship and freedom of expression. Although he allowed some freedom for constructive criticism, he did not hesitate to harshly repress conspiracies and voices that threatened the stability of the empire. This dualism helped maintain order and consolidate his authority. Claudius's family life was marked by complex and often conflictual relationships. His children, the fruit of several marriages, played important roles in imperial politics. However, intrigues and betrayals within his inner circle complicated his efforts to maintain harmony and stability in his most intimate environment. Claudius's relationship with other emperors was complex. He admired and learned from Augustus, while his relationship with Caligula, his predecessor and nephew, was strained. His unexpected rise to power after Caligula's assassination marked a break with the tyrannical practices of his predecessor. Claudius left behind numerous writings and decrees that reflect his administrative approach. Despite his stammer and shyness, these documents demonstrate his intelligence and ability to govern. His edicts ranged from Roman citizenship to infrastructure management, underscoring his dedication to the well-being of the empire. Historians such as Suetonius and Tacitus have offered varying opinions on Claudius. While some describe him as an effective and reformist ruler, others see him as weak and easily manipulated. However, his ability to maintain stability in turbulent times is undeniable, proving his worth as a leader. Claudius's legacy in the Roman Empire is significant. His administrative and judicial reforms, along with territorial expansion, consolidated the structure of the empire. His pragmatic approach and inclusive policies laid the groundwork for future emperors and contributed to the longevity of the Roman Empire. What do you think about the rule of Claudius and Messalina? Their actions and decisions have left an indelible mark on Roman history. We'd love to hear your perspective on their impact on the empire. Leave us your comments and join the conversation about this fascinating period in history.
Messalina's walks in the gardens of Lucullus vary with the seasons, each offering a different landscape. Spring brings vibrant flowers, summer warmth and splendor, autumn golden leaves, and winter a frozen stillness. The gardens also witnessed the downfall of Messalina. Their serene paths, once home to her intrigues and ambitions, witnessed the tragic end of an empress who challenged the limits of power. In the end, Messalina's walks in the Lucullus gardens became part of her legend. Beauty and tragedy intertwine, creating a story that resonates through the centuries. Her life and wanderings left a mark on Roman history, a mix of power, beauty, and tragedy that still resonates in our imagination. Messalina is an eternal reminder of human complexity. The Lucullus Gardens, with their splendor and secrets, witnessed crucial moments in Messalina's life. There, power and vulnerability intertwined, leaving a legacy that endures through the centuries. Amidst such splendor and danger, what would you have done? Messalina's life invites us to reflect on our own ambitions and decisions. Could we have navigated her world of intrigue and power? If you liked this story and want to discover more fascinating tales from antiquity, subscribe to our content. Every week, we will take you to a new corner of history. Leave us your comment on which part of Messalina's story has intrigued you the most. We want to know your opinion and continue exploring the mysteries and wonders of ancient Rome together. Origin of the Medallion. The medallion that Valeria finds in her parents' attic in 2024 is much more than just an ancient object. According to the legend that she will discover for herself as she delves into the secrets of the cult of Mithras, the medallion was created centuries ago by a high priest of the cult, who mastered esoteric knowledge about time and destiny. This priest, using occult powers and the favor of the god Mithras, forged the medallion with the intention of it serving as a tool to preserve the temporal balance and protect history from possible alterations. Medallion powers. The medallion has the ability to transport its wearer to different moments in time, but its use is neither simple nor risk-free. Each time Valeria touches it, the medallion reacts to her deepest emotions and thoughts, activating when her desire to change or escape her current reality is strongest. However, the medallion also seems to have a will of its own, guiding her through time to specific events and eras that are crucial to her destiny, and possibly the fate of the world. Time transport. The medallion can transport Valeria to specific times in history. This transport is not random, it is guided by the medallion's need to correct or influence certain historical events. Each time Valeria touches the medallion, she might end up in a different time, facing new challenges and discovering more about the medallion's purpose. Visions of the past and future. In addition to allowing physical time travel, the medallion could also show Valeria visions of the past and future. These visions could serve as warnings or clues about what she should do or avoid, but they could also confuse her by showing her alternative futures based on her decisions. Change in appearance. A side effect of the medallion's time travel is the alteration of certain aspects of Valeria's appearance. As mentioned, when Valeria travels to the year 38 AD, her hair changes from blonde to black. This change could be symbolic, representing her internal transformation as she takes on the role of Valeria Messalina and her deeper connection to that time. Each time she travels, the medallion could alter a small aspect of her appearance, reflecting her adaptation to the temporal environment. The burden of time. Time travel is not an experience without consequences. Each time Valeria uses the medallion, she feels an increasing physical and emotional burden. The medallion draws energy from its wearer, meaning that excessive use could weaken her. This introduces an element of risk. Valeria must be careful about when and how she uses the medallion, as each trip brings her closer to a point of no return. The mystery of the medallion and the cult of Mithras. As Valeria explores her new life in 38 AD Rome, she discovers that the medallion is closely linked to the cult of Mithras. The priests of Mithras recognize the medallion as an object of great power and believe that Valeria has been sent by the god himself to fulfill a specific purpose. However, not all members of the cult agree on what should be done with the medallion, leading to tensions and danger for Valeria. The medallion also has ancient engravings that seem to change depending on the circumstances, revealing new symbols and clues as Valeria progresses on her journey. These symbols could be key to understanding how the medallion works and how Valeria can better control her powers. The demiurge, in Gnostic traditions, is a powerful but imperfect entity, considered the creator of the material world and the one responsible for the cosmos. According to these beliefs, the demiurge has created an illusory reality, a kind of prison for human souls. His servants, the archons, are entities that maintain this order, manipulating and controlling human destinies to prevent souls from discovering the truth and escaping to the higher spiritual plane. Valeria discovers that the medallion was created not only by the priests of the cult of Mithras, but under the influence of the demiurge, with the purpose of maintaining control over the timeline. The archons, servants of the demiurge, are always on the lookout, looking for those who try to alter the established order. Valeria, with the medallion, becomes a pawn in this cosmic game. The medallion has the power to break the threads that the archons have woven through time, allowing Valeria to see beyond the illusion that the demiurge has created. However, using this power puts her in danger, as the archons will do everything in their power to stop her and protect the status quo. Decisions and consequences. As Valeria adjusts to her new life as a Messalina, she realizes that her mission might be much greater than simply surviving in ancient Rome. The medallion not only gives her the ability to travel through time, but also the opportunity to challenge the control of the demiurge and his archons. However, every time she uses the medallion to alter time or challenge the demiurge's illusions, she faces the wrath of the archons. He soon learns that the medallion is not simply a temporal artifact. It is an object of cosmic power, a channel that connects whoever possesses it to the forces of the demiurge and his archons. These archons manifest in terrifying forms, often influencing the people around her or appearing in her dreams and visions, attempting to manipulate her into stopping wearing the medallion. Valeria must learn to resist their influences, using her knowledge of the cult of Mithras and the Gnostic philosophy she begins to discover on her journey. The decisions Valeria must make about using the medallion. Every time she travels back in time, she is faced with moral dilemmas. Should she intervene in the historical events she knows about, risking altering the future? Or should she try to return to her own time, letting history take its course? These decisions affect not only Valeria, but also the historical figures she meets and, potentially, the course of history itself. The end of the journey. Valeria must decide whether to use the medallion to return to 2024, possibly altering her present, or stay in the past to fulfill the destiny that seems to have been imposed upon her. Will the medallion be destroyed, sealing her fate in history? Or will Valeria discover a way to fully master its power, transcending the barriers of time? When Valeria discovers that there is a prophecy within the cult of Mithras, which speaks of a chosen one, who will break the shackles of time and free the souls trapped in the demiurge's prison. This prophecy describes her, or at least that is how some of the cult sages interpret it. Valeria must make a critical decision, attempt to return to 2024 and leave this world of chaos and power, or confront the demiurge and his archons, risking her life and soul to free not only herself, but all of humanity from the illusion that has been imposed upon them. In a final confrontation, Valeria uses the power of the medallion to confront the demiurge. The outcome of this battle will determine not only her fate, but the fate of all time. Will she be able to destroy the medallion and free the souls, or will she be tempted to use its power for a more selfish purpose? If she succeeds in destroying the demiurge and freeing the souls, the world could change in profound ways, revealing the true nature of reality. If she returns to 2024, she could do so with knowledge that changes her forever, or perhaps carrying with her the scars of her cosmic battle. In any case, the medallion, the demiurge, and the archons will leave an indelible mark on her life and on history. Meanwhile, Valeria reflects deeply on her identity and origins. The revelation of her adoption and the fact that she is Valeria Messalina makes her question who she really is and what defines her existence. Intrigued by the similarities and differences between the two Valerias, she sets out to discover the connection that unites them. This mystery generates a strong desire to understand the purpose of her time travel. Determined to return to her time, Valeria tirelessly searches for answers. She explores the past in the hope of finding clues that will help her unravel the mystery and return to the year 2024. Valeria, desperate to return to her time, examines the medallion closely. Its ancient engravings seem to tell a story, but the mystery remains. She feels that the key is there, waiting to be discovered. With each failed attempt, her determination grows. She recalls fragments of Roman history classes, searching her mind for clues. Frustration washes over her, but she does not lose hope of finding a solution. One day, while exploring the market, she hears rumors about a wise man who knows about mystical objects. She decides to seek him out, convinced that he might have the answers she needs to activate the medallion. The wise man reveals the existence of an ancient ritual that could return her to her time. Valeria, full of hope, follows his instructions to the letter, preparing for what could be her last chance. As she performs the ritual, the medallion begins to glow brightly. Valeria feels a powerful force pulling her. Just before she is transported, one question remains in the air: will she make it back to New York? The Demiurge revealed, secrets and acronyms. The Demiurge is a central figure in several philosophical and religious traditions. He represents the architect of the universe, responsible for giving form and structure to the material world. His role and nature vary between different belief systems. In Gnostic philosophy, the Demiurge is seen as an inferior being to the supreme god, often associated with the flawed creation of the material world. He is perceived as ignorant or even malicious, in contrast to the true god. The term demiurge comes from the Greek word demiurgos, meaning artisan or public worker. Originally, it was used to describe artisans and workers in general, but Plato adopted it to refer to the creator of the cosmos. Different cultures have interpreted the demiurge in unique ways. In Platonic philosophy, he is a benevolent force that organizes chaos. In Gnosticism, he represents an imperfect or malignant figure responsible for the creation of the physical world. The demiurge plays a crucial role in the creation of the world. According to various traditions, he is the one who organizes pre-existing matter, giving it order and form. However, his creation is often seen as imperfect or limited. The difference between the demiurge and the supreme god lies in their nature and function. In Gnostic philosophy, the demiurge is an imperfect creator of the material world, while the supreme god is a transcendental and perfect entity. The term demiurge comes from ancient Greek and means craftsman or worker. This term was adopted by philosophers to describe a creative entity that organizes the physical world out of primordial chaos. In different cultures, the concept of the demiurge varies, but he is generally credited with the role of creator of the universe. Some traditions see him as a benevolent divine being, while others consider him to be an imperfect or even evil being. The role of the demiurge in the creation of the world is crucial, as it is he who molds matter and shapes the cosmos. However, his creation is seen as imperfect, reflecting his own limited nature in comparison to the supreme god. The acants are minor entities that assist the demiurge in his task of creating and maintaining the material world. In Gnostic mythology, they are considered intermediaries who exercise cosmic authority, influencing the life and destiny of human beings. The acants are considered cosmic authorities that exert influence on the material world. In Gnostic mythology, these beings have the function of controlling and maintaining order in the universe created by the demiurge. The demiurge is seen as the creator of the world, but his work is imperfect. This imperfection is reflected in the nature of the material world, full of suffering and limitations, which contrasts with the perfection of the spiritual realm. Although the demiurge created the world, his creation is considered flawed. This contrast highlights the Gnostic view that material reality is a prison for the soul, which yearns to return to the spiritual world. The demiurge also plays a crucial role in the creation of the soul. However, according to Gnosis, the soul is trapped in the material world and needs to free itself from the bonds imposed by the demiurge and the acants. The acantes act as intermediaries between the demiurge and human beings, influencing their lives and decisions. These beings are seen as spiritual obstacles that hinder the path to enlightenment and liberation of the soul. The acants are intermediary entities that act between the demiurge and humanity. In Gnostic mythology, they are considered cosmic authorities that influence human destiny and maintain the order of the material universe. The influence of the acantes on human life is significant. Their role is to control and guide souls trapped in the material world, often preventing their ascent towards knowledge and spiritual enlightenment. In Platonic philosophy, the demiurge is a benevolent being who creates the world according to eternal ideas. Unlike the Gnostic view, here the demiurge is seen as a divine and positive craftsman. Comparing the Gnostic and Platonic demiurge reveals key differences. While the Platonic demiurge is a benevolent creator, the Gnostic one is perceived as flawed and often evil, responsible for the creation of the flawed material world. The duality of good and evil in the demiurge reflects a constant struggle. In Gnosis, the material world is marked by imperfections and suffering, in contrast to the perfection of the spiritual world, free from demiurgic influence. Modern interpretations of the demiurge vary widely, from philosophical to esoteric approaches. Some see him as a metaphor for the creative human mind, while others relate him to hidden forces that influence our reality. The demiurge has been depicted in contemporary art as an ambiguous entity, sometimes benevolent, sometimes malignant. Visual artists and filmmakers explore his duality, reflecting the complexity of his nature and his impact on creation. In literature, the demiurge appears as a character who symbolizes the conflict between good and evil. Science fiction and fantasy authors use him to explore themes of power, morality, and existence, enriching their narratives. Criticism of the figure of the demiurge focuses on his role as an imperfect creator. Philosophers and theologians debate his responsibility for human suffering, questioning whether his existence justifies the imperfection of the material world and its challenges. In contemporary esotericism, the demiurge is studied as a force that must be transcended. Spiritual practices seek to free oneself from his influence, promoting a direct connection with the higher self and the supreme divinity, beyond the material world. The relationship between the demiurge and the higher self is complex, since the former represents the imperfect creation of the material world, while the higher self seeks connection with the divine and the true essence of the human being. The demiurge in the context of Gnostic redemption acts as an obstacle that the soul must overcome. Breaking free from his influence involves awakening to a higher reality and recognizing the divine spark within oneself. Freeing oneself from the influence of the demiurge and the atheists requires a process of self-knowledge and spirituality. It is essential to question material reality, seek inner truth and connect with the higher self to transcend one's limitations. Reflecting on the meaning of the demiurge today invites us to examine our own beliefs and the nature of the world we live in. It challenges us to seek a more authentic existence, aligned with our true essence and purpose. Researching more about the demiurge and expanding your understanding can open doors to new philosophical and spiritual perspectives. This knowledge will allow you to question reality and find paths to greater spiritual understanding and connection.
Revelations of the Julio-Claudian dynasty.
Did you know that the Julio-Claudian dynasty marked the beginning of the Roman Empire? This period transformed Rome from a republic into a prosperous and powerful empire. With legendary figures such as Julius Caesar and Augustus, the dynasty left an indelible mark on Roman and Western history. The end of the Roman Republic was a tumultuous time marked by civil wars and internal conflicts. Power struggles between factions weakened the Republic, creating a vacuum that future emperors would fill. This leadership crisis set the stage for the rise of the empire. Julius Caesar, with his charisma and military skills, played a crucial role in the transition to empire. His leadership and reforms created a solid foundation for his successors. Although his life ended abruptly, his legacy lived on, paving the way for the rise of Augustus. Family relationships between the Julius and Claudius were fundamental to dynastic power. Through strategic marriages and political alliances, the two families were united, consolidating their dominance. This network of family connections was key to maintaining the stability and continuity of the empire. Augustus, known as the first Roman emperor, consolidated his power after the death of Julius Caesar. His skillful political and military management allowed him to unify Rome under his leadership. He established a period of peace and prosperity known as the Pax Romana, ensuring the stability of the empire. Augustus implemented crucial reforms that transformed Roman government. He established a centralized administrative system and reorganized the military, ensuring stability and efficiency. His emphasis on restoring traditional values and promoting public morality consolidated his power and legitimacy, laying the foundation for a lasting empire. Tiberius, Augustus' successor, assumed power with ambivalence. Although he initially showed competence, his reign became controversial due to his growing distrust and paranoia. His decisions, often influenced by his advisor Sejanus, caused tensions and suspicions, affecting his reputation and relationship with the Senate. The relationship between Tiberius and the Senate was complex and tense. Tiberius, distrustful, delegated much of his power to Sejanus, which generated resentment among the senators. This estrangement and the political purges increased hostility, weakening the cohesion and cooperation necessary for effective government. Caligula, nephew of Tiberius, rose to power with promises of renewal. However, his behavior soon became erratic and despotic. His extravaganzas, such as naming his horse consul and proclaiming his own divinity, destabilized the empire and generated fear and bewilderment among his contemporaries. Caligula's financial management was disastrous. His excessive spending on spectacles and personal projects emptied the state coffers. To finance his whims, he imposed oppressive taxes and arbitrary confiscations, causing widespread discontent. This economic mismanagement contributed to his unpopularity and eventual assassination. Caligula, known for his extravagance and cruelty, was assassinated in 41 AD by a conspiracy that included members of the Praetorian Guard and the Senate. His murder was motivated by his tyrannical behavior and wastefulness, leaving a legacy of chaos and distrust in government. Claudius, despite being seen as an intellectual and a scholar, ascended to the throne unexpectedly following the assassination of Caligula. His rule was characterized by a focus on stability and administrative reform, which helped consolidate his power and restore confidence in the imperial leadership. During his reign, Claudius implemented important administrative reforms that modernized the structure of the Roman Empire. These reforms included the reorganization of the bureaucratic apparatus and the expansion of citizenship to new territories, which strengthened the cohesion of the empire and improved governmental efficiency. Claudius also made several significant territorial conquests, including the annexation of Britain. These expansions not only increased the empire's territory, but also demonstrated Claudius' military and strategic prowess, cementing his reputation as a competent and ambitious leader. Nero, the last emperor of the Julio-Claudian dynasty, assumed power following the death of Claudius. His reign was marked by a focus on arts and culture, as well as controversial political decisions. Although initially promising, his rule ended in chaos and conspiracies that led to the collapse of the dynasty. Nero, known for his extravagant lifestyle, was a great patron of the arts. His government promoted theater, music, and poetry, but was also characterized by excesses and eccentricities that led the empire into an economic and social crisis. The Great Fire of Rome in 64 AD devastated much of the city. Although there are theories that blame Nero, it was likely an accident. The emperor took advantage of the rebuilding to erect monuments and renovate the urban infrastructure. Conspiracies against Nero were constant, fueled by his growing paranoia. The most famous was the Pisan conspiracy, which sought to overthrow him. The repression was brutal, increasing discontent and distrust towards his government. Nero's suicide in 68 AD marked the end of the Julio-Claudian dynasty. Beset by rebellions and a lack of support, Nero chose to take his own life rather than be captured. His death left a power vacuum that triggered a series of civil wars. The Julio-Claudian dynasty left a lasting impact on Roman history. Despite controversies, their reforms and policies contributed to the stability and expansion of the empire. Their legacy lived on in culture, architecture, and laws, influencing future generations. The cultural influence of the Julio-Claudian dynasty left an indelible mark on Rome. Under their rule, the arts, literature, and architecture flourished. The promotion of public works and the construction of grandiose monuments not only beautified the city, but also consolidated the power and legacy of its rulers. In the religious sphere, the Julio-Claudian dynasty promoted the cult of the emperor and the integration of foreign divinities, adapting religious practices to the political needs of the empire. This religious syncretism facilitated cohesion between the various cultures under Roman rule, strengthening the unity and stability of the empire. Architecture and public works reached unprecedented splendor during this dynasty. Buildings such as the Forum of Augustus and the Era Pacis symbolized the power and grandeur of Rome. These constructions not only improved urban infrastructure, but also served as tools of political propaganda. The foreign policy of the Julio-Claudians was characterized by a combination of diplomacy and military conquests. They established treaties with neighboring peoples and expanded the borders of the empire, securing control over strategic regions. This expansion not only increased the available resources, but also consolidated Roman hegemony in the ancient world. The economy under the Julio-Claudians experienced both growth and crisis. Augustus' efficient administration and fiscal reforms fostered prosperity, but the waste and extravagance of Caligula and Nero created economic strains. Despite these challenges, trade and agriculture remained fundamental pillars of the Roman economy. The Roman army under the Julio-Claudians underwent significant changes. It became even more professional, ensuring the loyalty of the legions to the emperor. The reforms included improvements in the pay and conditions of the soldiers, thus strengthening their commitment. In addition, the borders of the empire were expanded, consolidating its power and stability. Roman law also evolved under the Julio-Claudians. Legal reforms sought greater fairness and efficiency in the administration of justice. New laws were introduced and existing ones were improved. These reforms laid the groundwork for a more coherent legal system, influencing Western jurisprudence for centuries. The daily lives of Roman citizens were significantly impacted by the policies of this dynasty. Urban reforms improved the city's infrastructure, with new roads, aqueducts, and public buildings. These improvements raised the quality of life and fostered a greater sense of community and belonging among the inhabitants of Rome. The use of propaganda was a crucial tool for the Julio-Claudians. Through coins, statues and monuments, images of the emperor and his achievements were promoted. Poetry and art also served to glorify their reigns, thus consolidating their power and legitimacy in the eyes of the Roman people. Women of the Julio-Claudian dynasty played important roles and often influenced politics. Figures such as Livia, wife of Augustus, and Agrippina, mother of Nero, are notable examples. Despite their legal limitations, these women used their position to exert power and secure the future of their families. The Julio-Claudian dynasty faced a number of opponents and rebels who challenged its authority. From senatorial conspiracies to military revolts, these internal challenges reflected the political and social tensions within the empire. However, through cunning and force, the emperors managed to maintain control and put down the insurrections. The Julio-Claudian relationship with slaves was complex and varied. While some emperors implemented more humane policies, others were unforgiving. Slaves played crucial roles in the economy and administration, and their treatment reflected the changing attitudes of the Roman elite towards this oppressed class. Art and literature flourished under the Julio-Claudians, who were great patrons of culture. Works by poets and sculptors reflected the splendor of the empire and the power of its rulers. This cultural patronage not only beautified Rome, but also consolidated the image of the dynasty. Death and succession were critical moments for the Julio-Claudians. The lack of a clear system of succession generated uncertainty and conflict. Each transition of power brought with it palace intrigues and struggles for the throne, affecting the stability of the empire and the continuity of the dynasty. The emperors of the Julio-Claudian dynasty were quickly mythologized. Their figures became entwined with legends and myths, becoming symbols of both greatness and decline. This mythologization helped to perpetuate their memory and influence historical perception, highlighting their virtues and concealing their flaws. The Julio-Claudian dynasty has been the subject of a number of modern interpretations. Some historians see it as a period of consolidation and reform, while others highlight its excesses and controversies. The assessment of this dynasty continues to evolve, reflecting new discoveries and scholarly perspectives. Comparing the Julio-Claudian dynasty with other historical dynasties reveals similarities and differences in the management of power and succession. While some dynasties achieved prolonged stability, others faced similar challenges in terms of intrigue and betrayal. These comparisons enrich our understanding of human governance. The history of the Julio-Claudian dynasty offers valuable lessons for today. From the importance of political stability to the dangers of absolute power, this Roman period reminds us of the need for balance and responsibility in leadership. Its successes and mistakes remain relevant today. Historical sources on the Julio-Claudian dynasty come from chroniclers such as Tacitus, Suetonius, and Dio Cassius. Their works, although sometimes biased, provide a detailed and critical view of the events and characters of this era. Analyzing these sources is essential to fully understanding its legacy. We invite you to subscribe to our channel and share your thoughts on the Julio-Claudian dynasty in the comments. Your participation enriches the conversation and helps us explore together the fascinating history of the Roman Empire. Join us on this historical journey.
The water in the fountain reflects my face, but I don't know if it's really me looking at me. The night in Rome is deceptively calm. The fresh air caresses my skin, but deep down I feel the weight of betrayal. How many eyes are watching me now, waiting to see the Empress fall? Claudius? I thought I had it under control, as always. So many years of playing this game of power, of manipulating everyone around me. But even the strongest power can be shattered by a single betrayal. I wonder what would have happened if I weren't in this situation. If Claudius hadn't allowed his advisors to poison his mind against me, where would I be now? I know that well. Rome would have been mine. Not the Senate's, not the soldiers, not even Claudius's. I would have been the undisputed queen, and no one would have dared to challenge me. My fingers brush the water, creating ripples that distort my reflection. It's funny. Even the mirror of the water seems to betray me now. My face, which so many men have desired, which so many women have envied, now seems fragile, as if fate itself were mocking me. But I have no regrets. I cannot allow myself to do that. Every decision I made was necessary, every alliance, every lover, every enemy destroyed. In Rome, to be compassionate is to be weak, and I was never weak. I was smart enough to survive in a world designed by and for men, where my only mistake was not foreseeing Claudius's cowardice. Had I not been condemned, I would have consolidated my power. Britain would have been emperor, molded by my hands, and together we would have ruled Rome with an iron fist. Not like that spoiled, capricious Nero who now seeks to snatch away what is ours. I imagine what it would have been like, me, walking through the forum, with the plebs bowing to me, not just because I was the emperor's wife, but because they knew who really ruled. Rome would have flourished under my rule. We would have expanded the empire, defeated any enemy, whether external or internal. Every senator would have feared to speak my name in vain. But I know now that time is running out. There is no turning back. The knife of betrayal is already stuck in, and Claudius does not have the strength to pull it back. The letter that just arrived confirms it. The end is near. I see it in the servants' eyes, in the way the palace feels cold, distant. I'm not going to beg. I'm not one of those. If they're going to kill me, let them. I'll die the way I lived, with my head held high, without asking for forgiveness, because I know my name will be remembered. Not for the way I died, but for what I could have been, for what I achieved. Rome is an insatiable beast, devouring the weak and exalting the strong. I was strong, and though I may fall now, I know that my legacy will endure. Others will come and fall, but there will always be those who remember Messalina, the empress who was not afraid to confront Rome itself. As I walk towards my destination, one last thought crosses my mind. Rome belongs to me, even now, even in my fall. With a cold smile, I step into the darkness, knowing that history will still speak of me.
Messalina was barely 15 years old when it happened, although it was often said that she already possessed a beauty and bearing that made her stand out among the young noblewomen of Rome. Her life was lived in the opulence of her family home, surrounded by servants and with access to the privileges of the aristocracy. She had never experienced real danger. Her world was carefully protected, or so she believed. That night, Rome was a hive of noise and bustle. Celebrations for the Emperor Caligula's victory in Germania filled the streets, and Messalina, excited by the festive atmosphere, persuaded her servants to take her to watch the festivities from one of the balconies overlooking the Via Sacra. Despite the warnings of her slaves, the young woman insisted on going out without an escort, assuring them that she would not stray too far. The night air was thick with the scent of incense and smoky torches. Messalina was carried away by the joy of the moment, watching the processions with their golden banners and the crowds shouting praises to the emperor. But as the night wore on and the crowds began to disperse, she found herself more alone than she had expected. The bustle became a distant echo, and the light of the torches seemed to dim with each step. Before she knew it, she felt a firm hand on her arm. The acrid smell of sweat and a man's raspy voice made her turn around, but it all happened too fast. A rag soaked in a pungent odor covered her face, and within seconds, darkness took over her vision. When Messalina awoke, she found herself in a place she didn't recognize. The cold stone of the wall dug into her back, and a dull pain shot through her head. She tried to move, but her hands were bound. The room was almost completely dark, save for the dim light of an oil lamp hanging on a nearby wall. Blinking, she began to make out silhouettes around her, 3 figures, watching her with inquisitive eyes. "So you are the noble Messalina," said one of them, a tall man with a scar running across his cheek. His voice was deep, laden with contempt. "Your family has enemies, little one, and we have a particular interest in you." Messalina felt a chill run through her body. She tried to stand firm, but her voice shook as she asked, "Who are you? What do you want from me?" The man laughed, a harsh sound that echoed in the small room. Your family has offended very powerful people, Messalina. And now, you will pay the price for their mistakes. For days that seemed like weeks, Messalina was held captive in this unknown place. She was fed sparingly and allowed little sleep. Her captors constantly questioned her about her family, her connections, and the possible enemies of the house. However, the young woman knew little about the political affairs of her family, and her answers were useless to them. Over time, Messalina began to notice strange things about the place. One night, she heard murmurings coming from an adjoining room, and then saw shadows moving in the doorway. Her captors were no mere bandits, there was something darker behind their purpose. One night, when the silence grew thicker than usual, the door to her cell opened without warning. Messalina stepped back, expecting to see the scarred man, but instead, a hooded figure slid into the room. The figure crouched in front of her and pulled back the hood, revealing the face of an elderly woman with piercing eyes. "There are forces at play that you do not understand, child," the woman whispered. "You have been brought here not just for vengeance, but for something much older, darker. You are needed for a ritual." The woman's words were cryptic, but Messalina could sense the truth in them. That night, she realized that she was not just a bargaining chip, but a centerpiece in something far more dangerous. Fear gripped her, and as the woman stepped outside, she began to plot a desperate plan to escape. In the early morning, when the guards were changing shifts, Messalina took advantage of a moment of distraction. She had managed to loosen the ropes that bound her and, with a quick movement, slipped out of the cell. She ran through the dark corridors, stumbling and falling in the gloom, until finally she saw a wooden door that seemed to lead outside. She opened it with all her strength and found herself in a dense forest, the branches intertwined above her head forming a dark natural roof. She ran without looking back, her heart beating like a drum in her ears. In the distance, she heard voices calling her, but she didn't stop. The moonlight barely penetrated the treetops, and her bare feet became bloody as she stepped on rocks and branches. But it didn't matter, all she wanted was to get away from that cursed place. Finally, she came to a dirt road and, following her instincts, found help in a small village nearby. The inhabitants took her back to Rome, where her family welcomed her with tears and hugs. Yet something in her had changed. The young Messalina was no longer an innocent aristocrat. She had seen darkness up close, and some of that darkness stayed with her. From that moment on, her eyes had a strange gleam, a spark of determination that no one had ever seen before. Years later, when she became Claudius's powerful and feared wife, some recalled the rumors of her kidnapping and her days in captivity. No one knew exactly what had happened, but everyone agreed that the experience had transformed her. Some said she had made a pact with the same shadows that had captured her, and that her insatiable ambition and political cunning were the result of that dark encounter in her youth.
The religion of the Atlanteans is a topic that has been speculated and debated over the centuries, but much of what is known comes from philosophical and mythological texts, as there is no direct archaeological evidence for the existence of Atlantis. The only primary source that mentions the Atlanteans is Plato, who spoke of Atlantis in his dialogues Timaeus and Critias around 360 BC. In Plato's dialogues, Atlantis is described as an advanced civilization that existed thousands of years earlier and was destroyed by its arrogance and corruption. However, Plato does not offer specific details about its religion. Still, some concepts have been inferred or imagined based on indirect descriptions. 1. Worship of Poseidon. According to Plato, the Atlanteans regarded Poseidon, the god of the sea in Greek mythology, as their principal deity. Plato's account says that Poseidon divided the island of Atlantis among his 10 sons, giving them dominion over different parts of the island. The eldest son, Atlas, gave the island its name, and his lineage ruled for generations. The Atlanteans built a great temple in honor of Poseidon, which was adorned with gold, silver, and other precious materials. Inside this temple, there was a giant statue of Poseidon leading winged horses. The worship of Poseidon as the protector god of the Atlanteans suggests a strong connection with the sea and the natural forces that surrounded their island. 2. Natural elements and cosmic forces. Some researchers and writers on esotericism have theorized that the religion of the Atlanteans could have been related to the veneration of the forces of nature and the cosmos, given their supposed technological and spiritual advances. It is speculated that they could have practiced a form of astrological religion, where the stars, the sun and the moon played an important role in their worldview. In Plato's Atlantis, the structure of the city and its relationship to the sea and canals suggests that the Atlanteans were deeply connected to the cycles of nature. 3. Esoteric and New Age theories. In modern esoteric literature and New Age movements, Atlantis is often seen as a spiritual and mystical civilization that possessed profound knowledge about energy, crystals, and the cosmos. According to these theories, the Atlanteans practiced a form of religion based on energy and universal wisdom, using crystals to channel cosmic forces. The Atlanteans are also believed to have had profound knowledge about reincarnation and the soul. Writers such as Edgar Cayce, known for his psychic readings, claimed that the Atlanteans had developed a religion that combined science and spirituality, and that their downfall was brought about by the misuse of their spiritual and technological powers. 4. Duality between good and evil. At the end of the story of Atlantis in Plato's dialogues, the Atlanteans fall from grace due to their corruption and arrogance. This has led some scholars to suppose that their religion might have had elements of dualism between good and evil, where the Atlanteans struggled with the temptation of power and dominance. This struggle between virtue and decadence is a recurring theme in ancient myths. 5. Relationship with other mythical civilizations. Some authors have suggested that the religion of the Atlanteans might have been similar to the religions of other ancient civilizations, such as the Egyptians or the Mesopotamians, who also worshipped the gods of the sky, the earth, and the sea. Since Plato connects Atlantis with a very ancient era, it is possible that the Atlanteans had a pantheon of deities similar to that of the ancient peoples we know today, but with a more advanced or esoteric focus. Conclusion: the religion of the Atlanteans, according to what has been speculated and interpreted, seems to have been a complex system that combined the veneration of deities such as Poseidon, natural elements, and perhaps advanced spiritual or mystical knowledge. However, it is important to remember that most of this information comes from philosophical and esoteric sources, so it remains a mystery subject to interpretation by different authors and schools of thought.
The mystery of Saturn's hexagon and the black cube. Saturn's hexagon is one of the most amazing phenomena in the solar system. This mysterious formation at the planet's north pole has baffled scientists and enthusiasts alike. At first glance, it seems to defy the laws of nature with its perfect geometry and persistence. This is a hexagon-shaped structure that measures approximately 30,000 kilometers wide. This geometric pattern is found in Saturn's upper atmosphere and has been observed by several space missions. Its existence raises fascinating questions about the planet's atmospheric dynamics. Visually, the hexagon is impressive. It appears as a series of clouds arranged in an almost perfect hexagonal shape. It can be clearly seen in images captured by space probes, where it stands out for its contrast with the surrounding environment. The regularity of its lines is surprising. The hexagon was discovered by the Voyager mission in the 1980s. However, it was not until the arrival of the Cassini probe in 2004 that a more detailed view was obtained. These observations allowed scientists to study its structure and behavior with greater precision. Several scientists have been instrumental in studying Saturn's hexagon. Among them are Carolyn Porco, who
who led the Cassini imaging team, and Lee Fletcher, an expert on Saturn's atmosphere. Their research has shed light on this cosmic enigma, advancing scientific knowledge. Saturn's hexagon is a fascinating phenomenon that has captured the attention of the scientific community. Its study has allowed us to better understand the planet's climatic and atmospheric patterns. This unique formation reflects the complexity and beauty of natural processes in the solar system. Scientists have put forward various theories to explain the formation of Saturn's hexagon. Some suggest that it is a phenomenon caused by jet streams and turbulence in the planet's atmosphere. These theories seek to unravel the mysteries behind this perfect geometric structure. Saturn's hexagon is compared to other planetary formations, such as storms on Jupiter. However, its hexagonal shape makes it unique. This phenomenon highlights the diversity of atmospheric dynamics that can exist on the solar system's gas giants. Weather patterns on Saturn are complex and varied. The hexagon, located at the planet's north pole, is just one part of a larger system of atmospheric phenomena. These patterns include intense winds, storms and seasonal changes that affect the planet's appearance and behavior. Saturn's hexagon is closely linked to the planet's winds. High-speed jet streams create the conditions necessary for its formation. This link between the hexagon and Saturn's winds provides valuable information on the atmospheric dynamics of gas giants. The hexagon of Saturn has fascinated scientists and curious people, but it has also given rise to numerous myths and legends. Some esoteric theories suggest that the hexagon is an artificial structure created by extraterrestrial beings, fueling the imagination and speculation of those interested in the supernatural. One of the most popular myths related to the hexagon is that of the black cube. This myth holds that the hexagon is the manifestation in space of a black cube that has deep and hidden meanings, associated with mystery and the unknown. The origin of the myth of the black cube dates back to ancient civilizations that saw geometric shapes as symbols of power and knowledge. These cultures attributed mystical properties to figures such as the cube, considering it a portal to other dimensions or a symbol of cosmic order. Ancient civilizations, such as the Egyptians and Sumerians, associated the black cube with their deities and cosmological beliefs. For them, these geometric shapes not only had symbolic meaning, but also represented fundamental aspects of the universe and creation. In the esoteric realm, the black cube is interpreted as a symbol of transformation and balance. Some schools of mystical thought believe that meditating on this figure can lead to a greater understanding of the universe and of oneself, linking the earthly with the celestial. The hexagon of Saturn has sparked the curiosity of scientists and amateurs alike, leading to some esoteric interpretations that connect it to the myth of the black cube. This geometric figure has been linked to ancient civilizations and their beliefs about the universe and the structure of reality. The myth of the black cube has its roots in various cultures, which have associated it with a mystical power or an occult force. This interpretation has been intertwined with the hexagonal shape at Saturn's north pole, suggesting symbolic and energetic connections between the two phenomena. Ancient civilizations, such as the Babylonians and Sumerians, used geometric symbols to represent cosmic and divine concepts. The black cube, as a symbol of matter and confinement, has been interpreted in some circles as a manifestation of cosmic forces in the hexagonal structure of Saturn. From an esoteric perspective, the black cube and the hexagon of Saturn are considered to represent order and chaos in the universe. These interpretations suggest that the hexagon could be a gateway to unknown dimensions or a point of convergence of cosmic energies. The concept of the demiurge in ancient philosophy is related to the creation of the universe by an entity subordinate to a higher principle. Some theorists have linked the demiurge to the hexagon of Saturn, suggesting that this geometric structure could be a manifestation of the demiurgic influence in the cosmos. The demiurge plays the role of a divine craftsman who shapes the universe out of pre-existing chaos. In many traditions, he is considered responsible for the organization and structure of the cosmos, providing it with order and purpose. His figure is at the heart of various philosophical and religious worldviews. In the context of Saturn's hexagon, some scholars suggest that the demiurge could symbolize the intelligence and design behind complex structures in the universe. This relationship between mythology and contemporary science offers a fascinating intersection of ideas that invites reflection on the origin of the cosmos. Modern interpretations of the demiurge vary widely, from a benevolent entity to a more ambiguous or even malignant figure. In many cases, he is seen as an intermediary between the divine and the material, providing a dual perspective on his influence on the creation and organization of the world. Criticisms of the demiurge theory come from various areas of philosophical and scientific thought. Some argue that this figure is unnecessary to explain the natural order, while others see in it an oversimplification of cosmic processes. These criticisms foster an ongoing debate about the roots of our existence. The Saturnian hexagon exemplifies how science and mythology can intertwine in the quest for understanding. While science provides empirical data and theories, mythology offers narratives that enrich our perception of the universe. This combination of approaches can deepen our appreciation of phenomena such as the mysterious hexagon. Social media has played a crucial role in spreading myths and conspiracy theories related to the Saturnian hexagon. The ease with which ideas, images, and videos can be shared has allowed theories about the black cube and other esoteric beliefs to spread rapidly. Scientific evidence categorically refutes the existence of a black cube on Saturn. Exhaustive research and data obtained by space missions have shown that the hexagon is a natural formation, the product of unique weather patterns at the planet's north pole, with no esoteric connotations. Astronomers and scientists have long expressed their fascination with Saturn's hexagon, considering it one of the most intriguing phenomena in the solar system. Its perfect geometric structure and stability over time remain objects of study and admiration in the scientific community. The Cassini mission to Saturn has been instrumental in our understanding of the hexagon. Launched in 1997, this spacecraft provided detailed data and valuable images of the phenomenon, revealing crucial information about Saturn's atmosphere and weather patterns that were previously unknown. Data collected by Cassini have allowed scientists to take a deeper look at the nature of Saturn's hexagon. Images and measurements have revealed surprising details about its size, structure, and dynamics, providing a solid foundation for future research and theories about its formation and stability. Images captured by NASA's Cassini mission have provided an unprecedented view of Saturn's hexagon. These detailed photographs allow scientists to observe the geometric structure and cloud patterns. Thanks to these images, scientists have been able to further study Saturn's atmospheric dynamics. Comparing images of the hexagon over time reveals changes in its color and shape. These changes indicate seasonal and climatic variations in Saturn's atmosphere. Analyzing these variations offers clues about processes occurring deep within the planet. Space research plays a crucial role in understanding phenomena such as Saturn's hexagon. Missions such as Cassini not only allow us to observe these mysteries, but also to formulate and test theories about their formation and behavior. Space exploration remains vital to expanding our knowledge. In popular culture, Saturn's hexagon has captured the imagination of many. From its appearance in documentaries to mentions in books and films, this phenomenon has inspired diverse interpretations. The fascination with the hexagon reflects our innate desire to understand the mysteries of the universe. Numerous documentaries and books have explored Saturn's hexagon, offering both scientific explanations and more esoteric theories. These works provide a window into the complexity and beauty of the phenomenon, and help spread knowledge about one of the solar system's most intriguing enigmas. Saturn's hexagon is a fascinating phenomenon that challenges our understanding and invites us to explore the mysteries of the universe further. The science behind this formation shows us how natural patterns can be extraordinarily complex and revealing, opening new doors to astronomical knowledge. The myths and legends surrounding Saturn's hexagon demonstrate how human imagination can fill in the gaps left by science. While these stories can be intriguing, it is crucial to distinguish between scientific reality and esoteric interpretations in order to enrich our understanding of the cosmos. To continue unraveling the secrets of the universe, it is essential that we continue to research and support space projects. Each discovery brings us closer to understanding the phenomena we observe and allows us to ask even deeper questions about our existence and the cosmos. We invite you to share this video with your friends and subscribe to our channel to stay up to date with the latest news in space exploration. Together we can foster a community passionate about science and astronomy, where knowledge is shared and celebrated. Thank you for joining us on this journey through Saturn's fascinating hexagon. We hope this content has sparked your curiosity and given you a new perspective on this incredible phenomenon. See you in the next video.
The truth about the Roman gods. The Roman gods were an integral part of the life and culture of ancient Rome. Inspired largely by Greek deities, these gods and goddesses ruled over various aspects of the world and everyday life, from the sky and the sea to war and love. Did you know that many Roman gods were based on Greek gods? The Romans adapted the stories and characteristics of Greek deities, giving them new names and meanings. This fusion of mythologies helped consolidate the Roman pantheon, creating a rich tradition that endured throughout time. Jupiter was the king of the Roman gods, ruling the sky with his powerful thunderbolt. Similar to Zeus in Greek mythology, Jupiter was revered as the protector of Rome and its people. His dominion over the weather and justice made him a central figure in Roman religion. Juno, the wife of Jupiter, was the queen of the gods and the protector of marriage. Known for her beauty and protective nature, Juno watched over women and marriages. In Greek mythology, her counterpart was Hera, the wife of Zeus. Neptune, brother of Jupiter, was the god of the seas and earthquakes. With his trident, he could control the waters and cause tremors on the earth. Roman sailors worshipped him, hoping for his protection on their voyages. His Greek counterpart was Poseidon, equally feared and respected. Pluto, known as the Lord of the Underworld, ruled over the dead and the underground realm. His power was feared and respected by all gods and mortals. In his dark domain, Pluto held the secrets of death and watched over the souls of the deceased with great authority. Mars, the god of war, embodied strength and bravery in battle. He was worshipped by Roman soldiers who sought his favor before battles. Mars symbolized fighting spirit and military strategy, and was a crucial figure in Roman mythology and society. Venus, the goddess of love and beauty, was worshipped for her ability to inspire passion and desire. Her irresistible charm influenced gods and mortals alike. Venus represented physical attraction and romantic love, making her one of the most beloved and revered goddesses in the Roman pantheon. Mercury, the messenger of the gods, was known for his speed and cunning. As the god of trade and travelers, he protected merchants and ensured fair trade. Mercury also guided souls to the underworld, thus fulfilling an essential role in communication between the gods and humans. Minerva, goddess of wisdom and strategy, was a figure of great respect and admiration. She represented intelligence and planning in war and in everyday life. Minerva inspired the Romans to value knowledge and prudence, being a role model for leaders and thinkers. Apollo, the god of music, poetry, and the sun, was revered for his beauty and artistry. He was often depicted carrying a lyre and crowned with laurel. His influence ranged from artistic inspiration to healing, making him one of the most multifaceted deities in the Roman pantheon. Diana, twin sister of Apollo, was the goddess of the hunt and the moon. Protector of wild animals and women, her image with a bow and arrows symbolized her connection to nature and independence. Diana was also revered as the guardian of purity and chastity. Bacchus, known for his association with wine and partying, was the god of celebration and ecstasy. His festivals, called Bacchanalia, were famous for their debauchery and merriment. Bacchus also personified the liberation of the spirit and creativity, influencing art and culture. Ceres, goddess of agriculture and fertility, was essential to the Romans. Her cult was closely linked to harvests and fertile land. Rituals in her honor ensured abundance and well-being for the community, making Ceres a central figure in daily and spiritual life. Vulcan, god of fire and metallurgy, was the master of blacksmiths and craftsmen. His workshop, located inside volcanoes, symbolized his dominion over subterranean fire. Vulcan was essential in the creation of weapons and tools, representing the transformative and creative force of fire. Vesta is the goddess of the home and the sacred fire. Her importance lies in maintaining the eternal flame that ensured the protection and prosperity of Rome. The Vestals, her priestesses, were in charge of tending this fire, reflecting the purity and domestic order in Roman life. Saturn is the god of time and harvest. His festival, Saturnalia, celebrated abundance and renewal with an atmosphere of freedom and joy. Saturn represents the cycle of time, where each end is followed by a new beginning, reflecting the natural cycle of life and agriculture. Uranus symbolizes the primordial sky. Although not as prominent in Roman mythology as in Greek, his figure represents the vast and eternal firmament. Uranus is the basis of creation and the origin of many gods, underlining the connection between heaven and earth. Faun is the god of forests and nature. His figure, often depicted with goat legs, symbolizes fertility and wildlife. Faun is the protector of shepherds and animals, reflecting the importance of nature in Roman rural and agricultural life. Fortuna is the goddess of luck and destiny. Her will symbolizes the unpredictable nature of fortune, which can elevate men to glory or plunge them into misfortune. Fortuna reflects the Roman belief in the power of fate and the influence of the divine on human life. Janus is the Roman god of doors and beginnings. He is depicted with two faces, one looking to the past and the other to the future. He symbolizes change and transitions, and is invoked in rituals of beginning and ending. His influence lingers into the month of January. Trivia is the goddess of crossroads and magic. She presides over crossroads, places considered mystical and full of power. She is also associated with the night and the unknown, protecting travelers and those seeking hidden knowledge. Her cult is enigmatic and fascinating. Proserpina, queen of the underworld and spring, is a dual figure. Abducted by Pluto, she spends part of the year in the underworld and the rest on Earth. This cycle symbolizes the seasons and the renewal of life. Her myth highlights the connection between death and rebirth. Cupid is the god of love and desire, known for his passion-inspiring arrows. Son of Venus, his depiction as a winged boy with bow and arrows is iconic. His influence is omnipresent in literature and art, symbolizing the uncontrollable power of love. Aurora, the goddess of dawn, paves the way for the sun each morning. Her beauty and light symbolize daily rebirth and hope. In mythology, she falls in love with mortals, reflecting the ephemeral nature of time. Her presence is a constant reminder of new beginnings. Somnus was the Roman god of sleep, responsible for bringing rest to mortals and gods alike. Often depicted with wings that symbolize tranquility and calm, his presence guaranteed deep, restful sleep. In mythology, he was the son of the night and brother of the god of death. Mors, the personification of death, was a feared and respected figure in Roman mythology. Often depicted as a shadowy and enigmatic figure, Mors was responsible for carrying souls to the underworld. His presence was unavoidable, reminding mortals of the fragility and finitude of life. Bellona, the goddess of war and destruction, accompanied Mars into battle. Known for her ferocity and bravery, she inspired Roman warriors to fight with courage. Her energy and determination were symbols of Rome's military might, cementing her place in mythology and war legends. Pomona was the goddess of fruit trees and orchards, representing the abundance and fertility of the earth. Her devotion ensured bountiful harvests and prosperous fields. At festivals, she was honored to thank her for the fruits and wealth she brought to Roman society. The Laras were protective spirits of the home and family, ensuring the safety and well-being of Roman households. Placed on small domestic altars, daily offerings and prayers were offered to them. Their constant presence was a reminder of the importance of family and protection in the daily lives of Romans. The Penates were the guardian gods of food and supplies in ancient Rome. They protected homes and ensured abundance. They were worshipped in the lararium, a small domestic altar. These gods symbolized food security and family prosperity in everyday Roman life. Quirinus was an important deity for Roman citizens. He represented the strength and unity of the people. Associated with peace and war, his temple in Rome was a place of veneration. His cult reinforced the sense of identity and cohesion among the citizens of ancient Rome. Liber was the god of fertility and wine, similar to Bacchus. His festival, the Liberalia, celebrated the arrival of spring and the renewal of life. Liber was also the protector of crops and viticulture, crucial to the Roman economy and culture. Carmenta, goddess of prophecy and childbirth, was worshipped for her ability to foresee the future and protect mothers. Her festival, the Carmentalia, was celebrated in January. Women came to her temple to seek blessings and protection during pregnancy and childbirth, thus ensuring family continuity. Consus was the god of storage and harvests, essential to Roman survival. His underground altar symbolized the protection of stored grains. During the Contualia, horse and mule races were held in his honor, giving thanks for abundance and asking for good future harvests. Ops, goddess of abundance and wealth, played a crucial role in the daily life of the Romans. She was especially venerated during agricultural festivals. Her protection ensured abundant harvests and economic prosperity, and she was a central figure in the stability and well-being of the community. Terminus, god of borders and boundaries, was essential to maintaining peace and territorial order. The Romans held special ceremonies in his honor to mark and protect the boundaries of their lands. His cult symbolized respect for property and peaceful relations between neighbors. Flora, goddess of flowers and spring, brought renewal and rebirth to nature. Her festival, Floralia, celebrated the fertility and beauty of the natural world. The Romans believed that flora ensured flowering and growth, vital to agriculture and life in general. Hercules, the divine hero of strength and bravery, was admired for his 12 labors and incredible feats. He represented the ideal of physical and moral strength. His cult spread from Greece to Rome, where he was venerated as a protector and model of heroic virtues. The influence of the Roman gods on culture today remains notable. From names of planets to references in literature and art, their legacy lives on. The values and myths these gods embodied continue to inspire and shape our understanding of history, human nature, and the universe.
Time travelers' incredible stories. Have you ever dreamed of traveling back in time? The idea of being able to visit different eras, meet historical figures, or even change events from the past is fascinating. In this video, we'll explore amazing accounts of people who claim to have traveled back in time. Get ready for an incredible journey. Time travel is a concept that has captivated the human imagination for centuries. From science fiction stories to scientific theories, the possibility of moving through time sparks curiosity and mystery. Is it just a dream, or is there something more behind these stories? One of the most popular stories is that of John Titor. This mysterious individual appeared on internet forums in the early 2000s, claiming to be a time traveler from the year 2036. His messages detailed his mission and the reasons why he had come to the past.
John Titor claimed that his mission was to obtain a 1975 IBM 5100 computer, which was needed to solve a problem at the time. According to him, this machine had capabilities that had not been publicly revealed. His story included technical details and predictions about the future.
Titor's time machine, according to his descriptions, was powered by a device called C204, capable of generating microscopic singularities to warp time and space. He claimed that this technology allowed travel into both the past and the future. His technical explanations aroused both skepticism and fascination. John Titor made several predictions about the future, including a civil war in the United States and a devastating global conflict. According to him, the First American Civil War would begin in 2004, followed by a Third World War in 2015. His prophecies caused a stir and are still debated today. John Titor's veracity has been the subject of intense scrutiny. Some believe his knowledge of technology and future events are compelling evidence. Others think his failed predictions and lack of solid evidence discredit him. Despite this, his story continues to fascinate many. In 1901, academics Moberly and Jourdain claimed to have experienced a time slip during a visit to Versailles. They reported seeing 18th century figures and landscapes. Their detailed account sparked controversy and speculation that they might have traveled back in time without realizing it. Some suggest that Moberly and Jourdain's experience at Versailles was a collective hallucination, while others consider the possibility of a paranormal phenomenon. The lack of conclusive evidence leaves room for speculation, keeping the fascination with this mysterious event alive. The Torrid Man appeared at a Japanese airport with documents from a non-existent country. Despite extensive questioning, no one could explain his origin. His sudden disappearance and the mystery of his documents have led to theories ranging from time travel to parallel universes. The strange story of the Torrid Man is one of the most intriguing in the world of mystery. In 1954, a man appeared at Haneda Airport in Tokyo with a passport from a non-existent country called Torrid. His confusion and the authenticity of his documents baffled the Japanese authorities. The man insisted that Torrid was located between France and Spain. The officers, unable to find such a country, took him to a hotel under guard while they investigated. Amazingly, the next day, the man from Torrid had disappeared without a trace, along with all his documents. This case has spawned numerous theories. Some believe the man was a time traveler caught in a temporal error. Others suggest he could have been from a parallel universe, where Torrid exists as a legitimate nation. However, a definitive answer has never been found. An equally intriguing story is that of Andrew Carlson, a Wall Street investor who in 2003 amassed a fortune of $350 million in just 2 weeks. Carlson was arrested for financial fraud, but claimed to be a time traveler from the year 2256 who knew the market. Surprisingly, after his arrest, Carlson disappeared without a trace. While some believe the story is a hoax, others think he could have been a real time traveler. The lack of conclusive evidence keeps speculation and mystery alive around his identity and claims. Andrew Carlson, a mysterious Wall Street investor, shocked the world with his sudden wealth. In just 2 weeks, he turned $800 into $350 million. His astonishing financial success raised suspicions and captured the attention of authorities, who couldn't believe that someone could be so precise in their investments. Police arrested Carlson on suspicion of fraud. During interrogation, Carlson claimed to be a time traveler from the year 2256. According to him, his knowledge of the 21st century stock market was what allowed him to accumulate his incredible fortune so quickly and precisely. Following his arrest, Carlson offered details about future events and the location of Osama bin Laden in exchange for his release. Incredibly, after posting bail, he disappeared without a trace. His case remained unsolved, leaving everyone to wonder if he had really been a time traveler. The case of Rudolph Fentz is another enigma of time. In 1950, a man appeared in Times Square wearing clothes and objects from the late 19th century. Bewildered and lost, he was run over by a car. Police found documents indicating that he had mysteriously disappeared in 1876. Police investigation revealed that Rudolph Fentz had been reported missing decades earlier. Items he carried with him, including a letter dated 1876, corroborated this story. The consistency and authenticity of the evidence baffled investigators, raising the possibility of genuine time travel. The police investigation into Rudolph Fentz revealed intriguing details. Dressed in outdated clothing and carrying items from another era, he looked like a man out of his time. Documents found in his pockets, such as business cards and receipts, dated back decades, baffling investigators. Digging deeper into the case, police discovered that Rudolph Fentz had been reported missing in 1876. Family and friends had searched for him unsuccessfully for years. The coincidence in time between his disappearance and his appearance in Times Square more than 70 years later raised unanswered questions. Al Bielek's journal opened a window into alleged time travel experiments. According to Bielek, the Montauk Project involved secret testing conducted by the U.S. government. His account detailed how he was transported to different eras, accurately describing future and past events. Secret projects like the Montauk Project have been the subject of speculation and debate for years. They are said to have involved advanced technologies capable of manipulating time and space. Although there is no conclusive proof, the stories of those who claim to have been involved fuel the fascination and mystery. Al-Bielek recounted his alleged time travel experiences with conviction. He described witnessing historical and future events, and claimed to have worked on top-secret military experiments. His testimony, though disputed by many, remains one of the most intriguing stories in time travel folklore. The Philadelphia experiment is one of the most enigmatic stories of World War II. Supposedly, the U.S. Navy attempted to render the destroyer USS Eldridge invisible. However, the experiment is said to have resulted in a time warp, throwing the ship and its crew into different eras. We can believe the stories of Al-Bielek, who claimed to have participated in the Philadelphia experiment and the Montauk Project. His accounts include travels to the future and the past, as well as experiences at secret bases. Although many consider his stories to be fabrications, some believe they may hide hidden truths. An image captured in a Charlie Chaplin film in 1928 shows a woman apparently using a cell phone. This detail has sparked controversy, as mobile technology did not exist at the time. The theory of time travel has emerged as a possible explanation for this phenomenon. When analyzing the photo from Chaplin's film, several theories have been proposed. Some suggest that the woman could be holding a hearing aid from the period. Others believe it could simply be an optical illusion. However, the possibility of time travel continues to fascinate many. There are other alternative theories about the image of the woman in Chaplin's film. Some think it could be a joke, while others consider it further proof of the existence of time travelers. The image continues to be the subject of debate and speculation among mystery fans. Håkan Nordqvist claimed to have had an unusual encounter with his future self. While doing repairs in his kitchen, he found himself in a tunnel of light that transported him to the year 2042. There, he recognized himself in an older version, but full of vitality and joy. The meeting between Nordqvist and his future self was emotional and revealing. The two shared stories and compared their identical tattoos, a detail that Håkan recorded on video with his phone. This visual evidence became a fascinating piece of evidence for mystery and time travel enthusiasts. The veracity of the Nordqvist video has been the subject of intense debate. Some believe the video is authentic and that Håkan really did travel to the future. Others suggest it could be an elaborate hoax or a surprising coincidence. However, the mystery remains unsolved. Another intriguing story is that of the modern man in a photo from 1941. In a black and white image, a man wearing sunglasses and contemporary clothing stands out from the crowd. This anomaly has led many to speculate about the possibility of time travelers. The authenticity of the 1941 photo has been closely examined. Some experts believe it is a montage or simply a fashion-forward coincidence for the time. Others argue that it could be proof of time travel. The debate is still open, keeping the mystery alive. Experts have offered various theories to explain the photo of the modern man in 1941. Some suggest it could be a photo manipulation, while others think it could be a fashion coincidence. However, the possibility of a time traveler continues to fascinate many people. The grandfather paradox is one of the most intriguing dilemmas in time travel. It poses the possibility that if a time traveler went back and killed his grandfather before he had any children, the traveler himself would never have been born, creating a logical contradiction. To explain the grandfather paradox, some theorists propose the existence of parallel timelines. In this scenario, any change in the past creates a new timeline, leaving the original one intact. Thus, the traveler could coexist with his past self without creating a contradiction. Another possible solution to the grandfather paradox is the theory of the self-consistent universe. According to this idea, the actions of a time traveler will always be part of the original history. Any attempt to change the past would inevitably be thwarted by unforeseen events. What do you think about time travel? Do you think any of these theories could be true? We'd love to hear from you. Leave your comments and don't forget to subscribe for more fascinating tales about time mysteries and enigmas. Until next time, imagine a world where the laws of physics allow time travel. Stories of time travelers captivate us and make us question our reality and the linear flow of time. From astonishing predictions to encounters with ourselves, these tales challenge our perception of the universe. The grandfather paradox raises intriguing questions. What happens if you travel back in time and affect crucial events? Solving this dilemma has led to theories ranging from parallel universes to alternate timelines. Time travel remains an enigma, inviting us to explore its mysteries and possibilities.
The truth about time travel involves moving to different points in the past or future. This concept has captured the human imagination for centuries, challenging our understanding of time and space. Despite being a fascinating idea, there is still no scientific evidence to confirm its real possibility. The possibility of time travel arouses an insatiable curiosity. Although we do not have the technology to do so today, science and fiction offer us multiple scenarios where this phenomenon is feasible. The combination of theory and fantasy keeps the question alive. Will it ever be possible? Time travel has been a recurring theme in literature for centuries. Authors throughout the ages have explored this fascinating idea, creating worlds where time is not a straight line, but an entity that can be manipulated and explored at will. The first mentions of time travel are found in ancient mythological and philosophical texts. However, it was in modern literature that the concept began to take concrete form, generating countless stories that have influenced popular and scientific culture. H.G. Wells is considered the pioneer of time travel in modern literature with his work, The Time Machine. Published in 1895, this novel not only popularized the concept, but also raised important questions about the nature of time and its implications. Scientific theories about time travel have captured the imagination of many. From theoretical physics to quantum mechanics, numerous scientists have explored the possibilities of time travel. Despite advances, conclusive proof of its feasibility has yet to be achieved. Einstein's relativity revolutionized our understanding of time. According to his theory, time is relative and can be stretched in the presence of high velocities or strong gravitational fields. This idea laid the groundwork for considering the possibility of time travel, although it is still more of a theoretical concept than a practical reality. Wormholes, also known as Einstein-Rosen bridges, are a fascinating possibility for time travel. These theoretical tunnels could connect two different points in space-time, allowing one to jump from one moment to another. However, their existence remains purely speculative and lacks empirical evidence. The grandfather paradox is one of the most intriguing dilemmas in time travel. If someone were to travel back in time and kill their own grandfather before their father was born, that person would never have existed to make the trip. These types of paradoxes raise complex philosophical and physical questions. The butterfly effect illustrates how small alterations in the past can have huge consequences in the future. A simple change, such as swatting a butterfly, could trigger a series of events that would completely transform the timeline. This idea highlights the fragility and interconnectedness of events in history. Time travel movies have captured the public's imagination for decades. These narratives explore complex philosophical and scientific questions, as well as offer thrilling adventures. From dramas to comedies, cinema has shown a variety of ways in which time travel can influence the lives of characters. Back to the Future is an icon of time travel cinema. The trilogy, directed by Robert Zemeckis, combines science fiction with comedy and adventure, featuring Marty McFly and the eccentric Dr. Emmett Brown. Meticulous details and plot twists make it a must-see classic. Terminator takes a darker, more apocalyptic approach to time travel. The fight between humans and machines, led by Sarah Connor and the Terminator, offers a reflection on artificial intelligence and destiny. The saga has left an indelible mark on the action and science fiction genre. Television series have also explored the topic of time travel in depth. Doctor Who is one of the longest-running and most beloved. With his TARDIS, the Doctor travels through different eras and universes, facing threats and making friends, all while maintaining an accessible and educational tone. Interest in time travel is not limited to fiction. It has also inspired real-life research. At CERN, for example, experiments are being carried out with particles that could one day open doors to new understandings of time. These projects keep alive the hope that what is science fiction today may be reality tomorrow. Scientific institutions around the world have been exploring the possibility of time travel. Although most projects are still in the theoretical stages, some experiments have made astonishing progress. Scientists are seeking to understand how to manipulate space-time using advanced technologies and complex physical principles. CERN, famous for the Large Hadron Collider, has been conducting experiments that could bring us closer to time travel. By accelerating particles to near-light speeds, researchers hope to detect phenomena that could reveal new dimensions or shortcuts in space-time, known as wormholes. Throughout history, some people have claimed to be chrononauts, that is, time travelers. These stories, although often considered fictional, have captured the public imagination. Accounts of people claiming to have seen future events or returned from the past always spark curiosity and debate. One of the most famous cases is that of John Titor, who appeared on internet forums in the early 2000s claiming to be a time traveler from the future. According to Titor, he had been sent from the year 2036 to retrieve an IBM 5100 computer, crucial to solving a computing problem in his time. Hypothetical time travel technologies range from building advanced machines to using wormholes. These theories are often based on complex scientific principles and have yet to be proven. However, continued research could one day turn these ideas into tangible reality. String theory suggests that the universe is made up of tiny vibrating strings rather than point-like particles, and could allow for the existence of multiple dimensions. These extra dimensions could be the key to understanding how time travel and parallel universes are possible. Parallel universes and alternate timelines are fascinating concepts that have captured the imagination of many. The idea that every decision creates a new universe where things are different offers endless possibilities to explore what would happen if we took different paths in life. The ethics and morality of time travel are complex issues that raise many questions. Is it right to change the past if we have the power to do so? What responsibility would we have towards the people and events that might be affected by our actions? Time travel has left a significant mark on popular culture. Books, films, television series, and comics have explored the myriad possibilities and paradoxes that time travel entails, capturing the public imagination and generating debates about its feasibility and consequences. Time travel video games offer interactive experiences that allow players to explore different eras and change historical events. Games like Chrono Trigger have been hailed for their complex narrative and ability to immerse players in time-based adventures filled with challenges and discoveries. Chrono Trigger is an iconic video game that revolutionized the RPG genre with its innovative time travel mechanics. Players explore different eras, from prehistory to an apocalyptic future, facing challenges that affect the course of history and the fate of the world. The impact of time travel on philosophy is profound, raising questions about free will and determination. If we can change the past, are we really masters of our destinies? These questions challenge our understanding of reality and the nature of time. Current debates on the possibility of time travel are divided between scientists and philosophers. While some defend the theoretical feasibility based on relativity and wormholes, others argue that temporal paradoxes make its practical implementation impossible. The controversy continues. Testimonies of alleged time travelers have captured the public imagination, from John Titor to anonymous people on internet forums. These accounts, although lacking verifiable evidence, fuel mystery and speculation about the reality of time travel and its implications. Conspiracies and theories about time travel abound, from secret government experiments to historical manipulation by hidden elites. These narratives, while often fantastical, reflect our deepest fears and desires about the control of time and power over destiny. The future of time travel research promises fascinating advances, driven by quantum physics and relativity. Scientists are exploring new theories and technologies that could make this age-old dream a reality. As technology advances, questions about the feasibility of time travel become increasingly pertinent. The ability to travel through time could profoundly transform humanity. Imagine being able to correct past mistakes or witness historical events firsthand. This capability would revolutionize education, medicine, and conflict resolution, forever altering our understanding of time and history. However, time travel is not without its risks. The possibility of altering past events and creating temporal paradoxes could have unforeseeable consequences. Scientists and philosophers must carefully consider the potential dangers before moving forward in this area. The responsibility of handling such power should not be underestimated. Memory plays a crucial role in the experience of time. Time travel could affect our perception and memories, creating confusion about what is real and what has been altered. Understanding how memory interacts with time is essential to avoid negative consequences on the human psyche. Traveling into the future is theoretically possible through time dilation, as suggested by Einsteinian relativity. At near-light speeds, time slows down for the traveler compared to those on Earth. Although not yet a practical reality, the possibility opens up a fascinating field of research. Traveling into the future is already a reality in a certain sense. According to Einstein's theory of relativity, if we travel at speeds close to the speed of light, time slows down for us compared to those who remain on Earth. This could be considered a form of travel into the future. Thought experiments about time travel allow us to explore complexities and paradoxes without risk. These philosophical exercises help us better understand abstract concepts and foresee possible consequences of altering the timeline, making the topic fascinating for scientists and philosophers alike. The impact of time travel on science fiction has been enormous, inspiring countless stories and theories. Authors and filmmakers have explored its possibilities and paradoxes, creating worlds and scenarios that captivate us and make us question the nature of our reality and the flow of time. In short, the theories and possibilities regarding time travel are vast and varied. From wormholes to relativity, science continues to explore this intriguing frontier. Although we are still far from mastering this technology, each advance brings us a step closer to understanding the mysteries of time. What do you think about time travel? It's a fascinating topic that sparks the imagination and raises profound questions. Do you think it will ever become a reality? Leave us your comments and subscribe to continue exploring the mysteries of the universe and science fiction together. Time travel has fascinated humanity for centuries. From the earliest mentions in literature to the most advanced scientific theories, this concept challenges our understanding of reality. The possibility of altering past events or knowing the future raises profound questions about the nature of time and our existence. The truth about Messalina's lovers. Welcome to our exciting journey through time, where we will explore the life and loves of Messalina, one of the most controversial figures of ancient Rome. Today, we will unravel the secrets and scandals that surrounded this enigmatic empress and her many lovers. Did you know that Messalina, wife of Emperor Claudius, had more than 10 notable lovers? This revelation has fascinated historians and curious people for centuries, fueling myths and legends about her love life. Join us as we uncover the most fascinating details of her relationships. Born into a noble Roman family, Messalina became empress when she married Claudius. Her beauty and cunning made her stand out at court, but also led her to seek forbidden love affairs. Her life was marked by intrigue, power, and desire, leaving an indelible mark on history. Gaius Silius was one of Messalina's best-known lovers. Their relationship was an open challenge to the rules and power of Claudius. Despite the danger, the two had indulged in unbridled passion, culminating in an attempted coup that cost them their lives. Marcus Vinicius, another of her lovers, profoundly influenced Messalina's life. Their relationship was not only an escape from imperial restrictions, but also a strategic alliance. Vinicius, with his charisma and power, played a crucial role in palace intrigues, shaping Messalina's destiny. Her relationship with Marcus Vinicius was particularly influential in Messalina's life. A powerful and respected man, Vinicius provided Messalina with a level of access to political and social circles that few could match. Their union was not only passionate, but also strategically advantageous for both of them. Decius Valerius Asiaticus met Messalina at a lavish banquet. Their romance was intense and full of intrigue. Asiaticus, known for his ambition, was attracted to Messalina's beauty and power. Their relationship quickly became the talk of all of Rome. Messalina's relationship with Lucius Annius Vinicius had a significant impact on Roman politics. Vinicius, an influential senator, used his connection with Messalina to advance his own interests. In turn, Messalina took advantage of this relationship to consolidate her power and manipulate political decisions in her favor. Messalina's relationship with Appius Junius Silanus had dramatic consequences. Silanus, a man with a promising political career, found himself embroiled in a scandal due to his affair with the empress. The situation became so untenable that Silanus ended up being banished, changing the course of his life forever. Valerius Catullus and Messalina lived a story of forbidden love. Catullus, a passionate poet, dedicated numerous verses to his love for Messalina. However, their relationship had to be kept secret due to strict social norms and the political repercussions it could bring. Messalina and Gaius Vitellius shared a scandalous relationship that captured the attention of Roman society. Their encounters were known for their intensity and shamelessness, giving rise to rumors and gossip. Their relationship challenged social norms, increasing Messalina's reputation as a controversial and passionate figure. Marcus Caelius Rufus played a significant role in Messalina's life, as his love was a source of comfort and support for her. Their relationship was deep and sincere, but also full of secrets. This forbidden love reflected Messalina's emotional complexity and her search for authentic connections. Quintus Pompey, another of Messalina's lovers, left a notable mark on the Roman Empire. His relationship with her was not only passionate, but also had political repercussions. Pompey's decisions and actions, influenced by his bond with Messalina, affected the stability and power dynamics in Rome. Publius Suetonius Paulinus and Messalina had a secret romance that defied the conventions of the time. Their encounters were carefully shielded from the public eye, which added an air of mystery. The clandestine nature of their relationship reflected Messalina's ability to manage her love affairs with discretion and cunning. Messalina's many relationships had a profound impact on Roman politics. Through her lovers, she wielded considerable influence over political decisions and strategies. Her connections allowed her to manipulate events to her advantage, demonstrating her ability to use her personal relationships as tools of power and control. Public opinion at the time was deeply affected by the scandals of Messalina and her numerous lovers. Roman society, known for its strict morality, condemned her actions, considering them a danger to the order and stability of the empire. This contributed to her bad reputation. Emperor Claudius, Messalina's husband, faced great pressure due to his wife's infidelities. Although he was initially blind to her actions, he eventually became unable to ignore the intrigues and betrayals. His reaction had devastating consequences for Messalina, marking the beginning of her downfall. Messalina's trial was a public spectacle that captured the attention of all of Rome. Accused of conspiracy and treason, she faced an unprecedented trial. Its outcome was tragic, as she was sentenced to death, thus sealing her fate and ensuring her place in history as a controversial figure. Throughout history, Messalina has been compared to other historical figures who shared her fame for their tumultuous love lives. These comparisons help to better understand her character and the circumstances surrounding her, offering a broader perspective on her impact on history. The figure of Messalina has been immortalized in popular culture, appearing in books, films, and television series. These representations often mix fact and fiction, creating a myth around her. Her life continues to fascinate the public, evidencing her lasting legacy. Messalina's life teaches us about power and the consequences of unbridled ambition. Her actions, though controversial, reflect the struggle for control in a male-dominated society. Her story reminds us of the fragility of power and how personal decisions can affect an entire empire. Among the curious facts about Messalina, it is said that she organized a competition to see who could have the most lovers in one night. These kinds of anecdotes, although difficult to verify, show how her figure has been the object of fascination and scandal throughout the centuries. Historians such as Tacitus and Suetonius offer testimonies about Messalina, describing her as a manipulative and depraved woman. Although their accounts may be biased, they are essential to understanding how she was perceived in her time and how her legacy has come down to us. Messalina's forbidden relationships can be interpreted as a form of rebellion against the restrictions of her environment. In a rigidly structured society, her numerous lovers could have been an attempt to exert control and autonomy, albeit at a very high personal and political cost. Messalina's psychology has been the subject of speculation for centuries. Some suggest she sought love and approval, while others believe her actions were driven by power and revenge. Understanding her motivations helps to humanize this controversial historical figure. Messalina was not the only Roman empress with a controversial love life. Agrippina the Younger, Nero's mother, also used her good looks to influence politics. Like Messalina, her life was marked by intrigue and scandal that shaped the course of the Roman Empire. Messalina's actions had profound repercussions on Roman history. Her alliances and betrayals destabilized Claudius' power, leaving a mark on imperial politics. Her life serves as a reminder of how personal passions can influence the destinies of entire nations. There is speculation that Messalina may have also had relationships with women, although evidence is limited. In a male-dominated society, these relationships would have been even more scandalous, challenging norms and expanding the myths surrounding her. Messalina pursued not only pleasure, but also power. Her relationships became tools for manipulating Roman politics, influencing crucial decisions. This strategy, although dangerous, shows her to be a shrewd woman who was aware of her surroundings. Messalina's legacy has endured through the centuries. Her life has inspired literary works, films, and historical studies, cementing her as a fascinating and complex figure. Her influence extends beyond her time, reminding us of the complexity of human nature. Today, Messalina is viewed with a mixture of fascination and disgust. Her scandal-ridden and powerful life remains a topic of debate and study. Today, Messalina is seen as an example of the extremes to which ambition and desire can go. The role of women in ancient Rome was limited, but Messalina broke many of those restrictions. Her political and social influence challenged the norms of her time, although her behavior was condemned by many. In a sense, her life reflects the tensions between gender and power in history. Messalina's end was as dramatic as her life. Accused of conspiracy against Claudius, she was executed without trial. Her death marked the end of an era of excess and corruption in the imperial palace, although her legacy lived on as a warning about the dangers of unchecked power. Reflecting on Messalina's life invites us to consider the complexities of power and morality. Her story shows us how historical figures can be both admired and reviled. Messalina, with her many lovers and tragic end, remains a fascinating enigma for historians and the curious alike. For those interested in delving deeper into Messalina's life, it is essential to consult a variety of historical sources. The bibliography on her life is extensive, with works ranging from academic studies to historical novels. Each source offers a unique perspective, helping us to better understand her complex and controversial existence. Messalina's end was tragic. Accused of plotting against her husband, Claudius, she was executed without trial. Her death marked the end of an era of excess and scandal, but her name remains synonymous with intrigue and passion in Roman history.
The house of Valeria Messalina, located in Rome in the 1st century AD, is a reflection of the power and opulence of the Roman aristocracy. It is a domus, a large urban dwelling that extends over a vast area, surrounded by high stone walls that ensure the privacy of its occupants. Exterior, entering through the vestibule, one enters a space marked by white marble columns supporting a high ceiling decorated with frescoes of mythological motifs. Intricately carved bronze doors lead into the interior, giving an immediate impression of wealth. Atrium, the heart of the house, is spacious and bright. It has a roof with an opening in the center, compluvium, which allows natural light to enter and rainwater to collect in a rectangular fountain, impluvium, located just below. The walls are decorated with frescoes in reddish and gold tones, depicting heroic scenes and idyllic landscapes, while the floor is covered with finely detailed mosaics depicting geometric patterns and mythological figures. Tablinum, the tablinum, Messalina's reception room and office, is decorated with fine dark wood furniture, with ivory and bronze accents. This is where she receives her most important guests. A scroll-adorned desk and a bookcase of papyrus indicate that this is a place of work and contemplation, but the luxury is not lost, with purple silk curtains covering the windows. Peristyle. Beyond the atrium lies the peristyle, an interior garden surrounded by a colonnade. This open space features flowers, fountains, and small statues of Roman deities. The garden is a peaceful retreat amidst the bustling life of Rome. Paths are lined with fine pebbles, and marble benches are strategically placed for relaxation. Triclinium. The triclinium, dining room, is another space that reflects the splendor of the house. Banquets are held here, and the reclining bed furniture is covered in luxurious fabrics in rich colors, such as purple and red. The walls are adorned with frescoes depicting divine banquets, and large decorative amphorae are placed in the corners of the room. Cubicula, Messalina's private quarters, or cubicula, are luxurious and comfortable. Her own bedroom has beds adorned with fine fabrics and feather-filled pillows. The walls are covered with murals depicting scenes of Venus and other female figures, while bronze oil lamps softly illuminate the room. Bathrooms. Messalina's house also has a small private bathroom, decorated with mosaics in shades of blue and green, reminiscent of the sea. Hot and cold water is piped from aqueducts, and there is a small pool for relaxing after the day's activities. Conclusion: overall, Messalina's house is a miniature palace, a testament to her status and power within Imperial Rome. The combination of lavish decorations, spacious spaces, and attention to detail shows how the Roman elite lived surrounded by beauty and comfort in every aspect of their daily lives.
In a quiet villa outside Rome, young Messalina lives with her parents on a vast estate surrounded by fields and gardens. Despite her seemingly peaceful life, there is something about the villa's atmosphere that has been unsettling her lately. The nights are darker, the winds colder, and a sense of vigilance has settled in her heart. One night, when the silence is broken only by the whispers of the wind, Messalina wakes up abruptly. Outside, the faint meow of a cat seems to float in the air, disturbing the calm of the night. When she looks out of her bedroom window, her eyes meet an enigmatic creature, a black cat, with intense blue eyes that observe her from the darkness. Curiosity overcomes her fear, and Messalina decides to go down into the garden in search of the cat. The moonlight illuminates the stone paths, but there is something different in the air tonight. The cat does not run away, like the other animals. Instead, its blue eyes draw her with an almost supernatural magnetism. It moves gracefully, as if it knows exactly where it is going, and Messalina follows it to a secluded corner of the property. Finally, they come to an abandoned structure at the edge of the garden, an old stone shed. The door, half covered with vines, looks as if it has been closed for years. But that night, it is ajar. The cat enters without hesitation, and Messalina, trembling, follows. Inside, the shed is filled with dust, but on the floor, something glistens in the moonlight. Messalina bends down and finds a round medallion, covered in strange symbols etched along its edge, and in the center, a blue stone that seems to radiate a cold energy. Touching the medallion, a feeling of vertigo comes over her, as if the space around her has changed. Suddenly, the shed disappears, and Messalina finds herself on a vast expanse of land beneath a black, starless sky. The cat stands before her, but he is larger now, more imposing, with eyes that shine even more brightly. The shadows around him begin to take shape, twisting and coming closer as if they were alive. A deep, ancient voice echoes through the air. "You have awakened the power of the medallion, young Messalina. And now, you must prove yourself worthy of wearing it." The cat advances, its blue eyes shining brightly, while the shadows move like a dark tide, closing in on her. Messalina feels the weight of the medallion in her hand, its blue stone throbbing to the rhythm of her own heart. Fear paralyzes her, but something inside her, a force she didn't know existed, pushes her not to give in. "What do you want from me?" she whispers, looking at the cat defiantly. "The medallion chose you," the voice replies, "but your will determine whether you can control it or be consumed by its power." The shadows are about to catch her, but in an act of desperation, Messalina lifts the medallion. The strange runes surrounding the blue stone begin to glow brightly, casting a blinding light that disperses the shadows. The cat takes a step back, and its form begins to change. What once seemed like a simple animal is now an ethereal figure, an ancient guardian of a power beyond human understanding. Messalina feels the medallion vibrate in her hand, and understands that the connection between her and the object goes beyond what she imagined. It is not simply a lost ornament, but a key to access ancient forces. The energy flowing from the blue stone begins to surround her, forming a shield of light that keeps the shadows at bay. The cat, now calmer, bows his head to Messalina. "You have passed the test. The medallion is yours, and with it, the power to protect or destroy." Everything dissolves in a blink, and Messalina finds herself back in the shed, the medallion still in her hands. The cat, now small and docile, looks at her from the doorway, his blue eyes shining with a new respect. When she returns to the village, she knows that something inside her has changed forever. The medallion hangs around her neck, and its power is tied to her. Though her parents don't mention it, they seem to sense the cat's presence, always lurking nearby. Messalina has passed the test, but she understands that what she has unleashed goes beyond this night. The blue-eyed black cat follows her silently, like a watchful guardian. Messalina has earned his respect, but she also knows that the true mystery of the medallion has not yet been fully revealed.